Night Owls. Night Owl with Robson. Well, there you go. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining me for the very first time doing a kind of DIY Night Owls. And it's a tremendous thing. Big thanks to everybody for putting this together. We've got Tony and Chris taking part tonight. And hopefully you too. Make sure you send us a link and we'll get you on here. Hopefully a video stream so I can see you, you can see me, and everybody can see us both together. It's a game often played by television since the lockdown. We're not doing it because of that. We're doing it because we have an absolute faith and genuine belief that the talk show is one of the great art forms. And it's underrated by many people, but it is a force to be dealt with. And we're going to use that force together to make something very special here if we can. Now, what we would like from you is basically get involved any which way you can. Email us, text us, make sure you're prepared to take part. Now, the good thing is, if you are a great musician and you want to give us a tune and you can set a camera up and you can do that thing live, let's do it. Happy for that. If you want to sing a tune, I'm not bothered about that either. Feel free to do it. And with respect to what you're going to be seeing, well, you're going to be seeing everybody who features on the show, everybody behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. But we're talking about stuff too. One of the things that I wanted to get started with, first of all, because we can see each other, we can share food and food items. Now, the bacon butty was announced as the number 1 sandwich in the Northeast this very morning. Do you agree? Do you disagree? You want to talk about it? Let's do it. The other thing is, about 6 or 7 months ago, we mentioned kind of cuddly toys and the things that you have when you're very, very young and you save them until you pop your clogs, essentially. So I thought I'd introduce you to mine. This is Giles, my mouse, okay? He does stare at you. He has a habit of like piercing eyes. But this is Giles. So I've had him since I was very, very young indeed. I ended up calling him Giles because of one of the bosses I had, because every time I came into the building, I'd done something wrong. And he had those kind of piercing eyes and used to drag me into the office. So if you have not any idea who I am, and this is just cropped up on your Facebook screen and you've no idea, I've worked for over 40 years as a national phone-in host with callers from all over the world. We've traveled the world doing ghostly things and dramatic and weird and fascinating things like flying a Cessna into the Bermuda Triangle during a storm and trying to find the Loch Ness Monster and a whole host of things that you can hear the stories of on robsonsworld.com if you fancy heading over there. The ghosty stuff we do everywhere. We've got lots more to come. And if this continues, we'll be taking you with us on some of those ghostly hunts too. So we've got a lot to offer. The other thing we wanted to talk about, everybody apparently, according to today's press, is ignoring the lockdown. Beach is absolutely full. 82 degrees has had everybody with their tops down, in bikinis, swimming in the sea, lying around in parks, completely ignoring the coronavirus. Now, the number of cases of coronavirus has dropped to 0 in some places. Are we doing the right thing? If you want to talk about that, we can. Happy to have you. I would love it if you didn't just talk, but you also came on screen as well. Don't have to, but we'd love it if you did. Anne-Marie Harrison, my teddy, was vomited on so much he is vintage. Classy. But that's kind of a sign of it, isn't it? When you were little, there's David Johnson. Love a good bacon sandwich. Dave, you're not wrong. The thing is, I tried to be a vegetarian for a while, but the bacon sandwich seduced me. Anyway, I also want to bring in, if I can, Tony. Oh, hang on, a different way of doing Night Owls. This is going to be fantastic. That's the plan. Tony, stick your face on the screen as well.
Hello.
The true horror of Hollywood McShane. And this in the background, I'm doing all right. Anyway, so, Tony, you've found a few little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
That's me there. One of the unspoken heroes of the lockdown have been the delivery drivers.
Yes.
I think it's plain to see that while we've been locked up in the house, they've been posting pizzas with a pole so not to get close to us and doing all your curries with gloves and masks and all of that kind of thing. You've got a clip of a delivery driver, that's just worth saying.
It's basically, they've been doing a great job, but someone's started to prank them. So it's quite cruel, but it's funny. So
okay, let's have it.
I'm sure you'll love it. So let's get this clip.
I've not seen this before, so I'm seeing this with you too. Let's do it.
Cheers, bro. Got delivery, yeah? Looking back for me. That's me, yeah? It's right, bro. Nothing to see. Don't worry, man. On your way, yeah? Cheers, bro. Thank you. Have a great day, yeah? Hello, mate. It's me. Is that my parcel?
Yes. Oh my.
It's alright, mate. Don't worry about that. Have a good day. You need to sign for it?
No, it's
You sure? You sure, bro? I'll sign for it if you want me to.
No problem.
It's fine. Have you got room in your van for another? Bro, it's a joke. Come back. Bro, it's a joke. It's a joke. Come back.
Have you got room in my van? Absolute classic. Brilliant, Tony. Nice one. We got another one coming up from one of the stars that we've actually had on the show on numerous occasions. The roadmap to opening pubs. A lot of people said, oh, it's going to be the last thing that they do. Do you know the government's working on a so-called roadmap now, and they're giving us a time for the 4th of July, which is incredibly soon. They're talking about screens in pubs. You can't drink at the bar. There's a whole range of things coming in. How do you feel about that? Would you chance going to the pub? Because let's face it, you can't sink a pint while you've got a face mask on. So I'd love your views on how pubs, everybody's saying, let's get a pint now because we know about social distancing. We can stay in our family groups. What do you reckon? I actually shook somebody's hand today for the first time in about 4 months. And I'm all right so far. And also, all of the new Volvos. I don't know whether you're a Volvo driver. People used to say, it's the safest car on the road. It's like driving a tank. Don't know whether that's true or not. Never driven one. However, all new Volvo cars are going to have a speed limiter put in place. 112 miles an hour, right? 112 miles an hour. My question is, if you're going to put a limiter on and the legal limit's 70, surely your limiter should be 73 then, or 75. Why do you think there's 112? Well, I mean, maybe you could go the Autobahn, perhaps, but how many people in Britain ever actually venture that far? Anyway, Tony, back to you. I saw you sloping off there a moment ago. Oh, I see what you were doing. Right now, talking about superstars, we've had them all on this show. At the very beginning in the title sequences, I noticed a glasses-wearing Rick Astley.
You saw it, yeah.
I think he was singing his biggest hit as well.
He did. He done an acoustic version of that. It was amazing.
It was fantastic. So we've had all the big stars on over the years, and one of them was a guy called Jason Derulo. When he first came in, he was a real cocky guy from the States, obviously. And he came in and he did like a Michael Jackson moonwalk, and he was having fun with other staff around the building at the time. And I said, hey, you're really fit. You must work out a lot. He showed his abs and did that Ripley thing that only people with proper abs can do. And then I said, can you touch your toes in the air? Thinking, well, you cannot do that. David Lee Roth once did that in the building that I used to work. However, he just jumped up in the air and hit his head off the paneling of the ceiling and touched both of his toes. And he was wearing jeans, which, play me, how he got away with that, I'll never know. And the sad thing was that a year later, he had that horrible accident where he was out of commission for a long time. But anyway, this is involving Jason Derulo. What's it about, Tom?
Well, I think it's going to, affect his singing because it's his teeth. And this, it's one of those things that make you really, really cringe. If you've got a mouthful of teeth, and most people have, this is probably going to do the same to you that it did to me. So let's have
right. Oh, hell's bells! Brace yourself, everybody. Incoming. He probably paid a fortune for them as well.
I know that's a thing, but it just made us cringe. It's one of those.
Yeah, I just remember we were talking to Katie Price, which is not something that I looked forward to nor enjoyed. However, when I was talking to her, in between an ad break that was on the show, she was telling me about her veneers, and she can't eat anything. It's like I can only eat marshmallows and soft foods. And you would think, well, why would you go to all that kind of trouble for? Because let's face it, we want to enjoy any grub that we have, but hell's teeth, veneers, I don't think so. A couple of quick things. We're also told, I know we're going to talk to some people from America. We love your involvement. Wherever you are, let us know where you are. But if a Barack Obama stood again to be president, not even sure he's allowed to because he's already had 2 terms, according to the press in America, he would storm it by a landslide. Like your views on that. And also, women date men. Oh, this is a horrible thing. I've always been aware that there's a problem with certain women, they get desperate. They're wanting a partner, but they can't find one. They've got a number of children. So they kind of put up with people that are not quite right. And the terrifying thing is a lot of these women are meeting up with men who are not really interested in them. They're interested in their children, teaming up with pedophiles. Have you ever had anything like that? I know it's hardcore. Michelle Blake, hi from Canada. Hello, Canucks, with a VE Day celebration. We, in radio, we celebrate VD Day, but that's a different thing altogether. And also, we're hearing that prices are going to plummet by 30%. How's that going to affect you? Tony, you've got one final one for us, and then hopefully we can get a call on.
Yeah, well, this one, usually the big markets, it holds a lot of stags, doesn't it?
Stag nights, hen nights, all of that.
Well, you might have seen this. Northumbria Police shared because there was an actual stag in the big market.
Oh, there's a little deer. Oh, they're nice.
It's amazing. I mean, there's not a soul around, and he's just pottering about.
What time is that?
It doesn't have a time on the video, but I would presume it's early morning. There's no one around, but how cool is that? It's
just too late, and there's nobody there. This is what happens when we're in lockdown. You know, you don't, because let's face it, you'd just be getting home at this time, so you'd have seen him. I wonder where he went. Where's he going? Somewhere shut.
He headed towards the town moor, apparently.
Right, well, that would make sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
How cool is that,
but he cut through. You see, animals are cutting through towns. They're doing a lot of this stuff. Wild animals. I don't know about you, but sadly, driving up and down the A1, I've seen an awful lot of dead animals lying down by the side of the road. Night owls, what have you seen? Have things changed? And let's take it. Now, you got to remember, there's no adverts, there's no ad breaks, there's no wee breaks, or all the rest of it.
It's easy to come on as well. All you need is a smartphone. And exactly all you need is a smartphone. There's people watching on YouTube and Facebook as well. So if you want to come on, just send a message. You can inbox us or just leave it in the comments on the screen. And basically, we just send you a link to your smartphone or your laptop or your tablet. And that's it. That's all you need, and it's all free.
And this is what people have been doing on television, on all of the TV shows for the last 3-4 months. So it's an established technology. It's easy, and you will look. Hey, you got to look better than this. Let's face it. Anyway, I think we've got Davey from Washington. No, we haven't.
I've got
that's
Kaylee.
on my screen.
I'm gonna let it.
I beg your pardon. Kaylee is our next caller. Hello, Kaylee. Oh, there she is. Hello, darling. Now, what do you want to talk about tonight? Because I've heard that this is actually quite a cool thing. Go for it.
Right, okay. I'm Kaylee from Paranormal Newcastle.
Right.
I think what we're talking tonight, there's a few things I could talk about. Are we talking about the glass at the snooker club, though?
Absolutely. No, tell me, first of all, a little bit about the Paranormal Club. How long you been together? Why did you do it? All those kind of things.
So I started my business, Paranormal Newcastle, in November 2018.
Right.
I thought, it's just something I really wanted to do. I thought I could do it, and I proved myself right.
Good. How do you start off, though? I mean, from scratch. And I know there's a few TV programs on, and we've been doing our thing for a long time. But how do you get started to do it and make a business out of it?
So what I did was I went on an investigation with someone. I really, truly enjoyed it. And I thought, well, I want to do that, but I want to do it my own way. Like, I'm quite skeptical with a lot of things, and I enjoy doing it. But I wanted to prove myself that, what's happening is real. So I decided, I bought all the equipment and I booked Castle Keep and decided to go there straight away.
So you go to Castle Keep. What we've always said is discount 95% of what you see or hear. And it's the 5% that's that little magic 5% that has no other explanation. That's what we're all looking for. Did you find it at the Keep then?
So you're looking for what is there, but you want the thing that you're probably going to get when you're not looking for it.
Right, that's true. Did it happen at the Castle Keep for you?
So the first time we went, other people experienced things. I didn't personally, but other people did, and that's really cool as well, that other people experience things. The second time, because I've gone twice, the second time there was scratch marks on me. I don't necessarily know whether that was just something I've subconsciously done or whether that happened, but there was scratch marks on me and my auntie.
You didn't celebrate with a rampant boyfriend, did you?
No, unfortunately not.
So, okay, the scratch marks could have been. Maybe, inadvertently you can do that kind of thing, especially if you're moving around old buildings as well.
Yeah, well,
that's possible. Have you had a clincher, though? The thing that made you say, whoa, this is real?
So what makes me think this is real is, funnily enough, when I went to the Victoria Tunnels under Newcastle, the Victoria Tunnel, and there were footsteps, clear footsteps, loud footsteps, when there was nobody down that way. There was nobody.
It's black as the Ace of Spades down there as well. It's really, really dark. Definitely. And I think if I remember rightly, every now and then you'll come to a wall and you kind of walk around the wall and it seems to get even darker. But the weird thing is, any noise in that whole stretch just seems to reverberate down the whole place.
It does. That's the thing. So it reverberates down, but if there's nobody at the other end, there's no way that big heavy footsteps could be coming towards you. But that is what we experienced from the get-go. The other thing was that, and again, funnily enough, I didn't experience it, but I was in the middle of it. I had a group of people. There was about 7 people, a group sort of in front, a group behind, and I was in the middle. The group from behind ran towards me, thinking there was footsteps behind them. The group from the other way ran back towards me. So both groups ran towards me, and I'm in the middle, like, what's happened? And everyone's like, oh my God, something's just passed through. And I'm like, I don't understand. I'm in the middle.
Right.
But that was really cool and surreal because they couldn't have communicated that at all.
No, if you went down with the good grace of the people that operate the tunnels, if you know what I mean, they've had a few special events on for Lord Mayors and what have you. But the story I was told, and I'm sure you'll have heard it too, was that somebody was down the tunnel and one of the carriages started rolling down the hill and ended up hitting him, crushing him, and sending him out into the river, and he was dead. And he's supposed to walk in there, so don't know whether it was his footsteps, but I don't know how a dead person can make their footsteps appear at both ends of the tunnel simultaneously.
That's William Coulson. That is the story of the guy that got killed by the cart. But it's as if somebody came through the group of people that I was with, and I was in the middle. I didn't feel anyone come through, but both groups came, like, doubled back and came towards me. Wow. And I couldn't have told the group at the front, they were too far ahead, and I couldn't have told the group at the back.
Right,
and
now,
that was a simultaneous reaction.
Tony tells me that he has a clip from you. Is this correct? You've sent us a clip in?
Yeah, I sent. I've got a clip of a glass shattering at the snooker club.
Oh, let's have a look at this.
That's the one. That's our CCTV footage.
Oh, look at that.
So
that's
usually
wild.
You would have glasses can shatter in bars, fully aware, but you would have a glass washer, a high pressure glass washer. We don't have one of those, and that was glass that's just been used by a customer. So
and you don't have somebody sitting in the snug with a Magnum. Just
no, that would have been really cool. I'm in that video, and that was my genuine reaction.
Wow, but I mean, because we've had a couple of these sent in to us over the years, and one guy said, "Oh, they can smash," and it's a heat thing, as you say, with the heat of washing it in red hot water, then you put it on cold and there's the reaction. I can understand that, but we've also had a few where the glass has just moved and then moved back again. Now that's a bit hard. That's just a bit harder to comprehend. So hey, but thank you for that. How long have you been since 2018? You mentioned that you'd started this paranormal group. How's it going? How's it going? And how do people get to you to apply to go on one of your adventures then?
So what I do is I'll occasionally launch an event. I'll do it just based on what I want to do. And if anybody messages me saying they want to do something, I'm planning on doing something cost price. I was my Halloween event that might not happen because of lockdown.
But, fingers crossed.
I'm planning on doing something cost price pretty soon. So essentially I'll pay for a ticket as well. And if people want to come along, they can.
Great.
It's quite an expensive venue, so I'm doing.
So you cover your price. You make a little bit on the nod. That's business. That's right. Well, continued success. Let's hope you have lots more adventures ahead, and hopefully get that clincher. It's the clincher moments. I've only had about 4 in my life that are absolute clinchers, and I want another 4, and then I want another 4, and another 4, another 4. Great talking to you. Thanks for coming on, Kim.
Oh,
Bless
thank
you,
you
darling.
too.
Nice one. Bye-bye. We are heading. We're not staying here in Britain. Britain. Don't think so. Who's this? Simon Owen. Hello, Alan. Hello, Owl. It's great to have you on midweek. Cool. Even though you are an anonymous person, we shall think merely of your horn, Simon. And there's another one. Stephen Rogers. Got a story about my nana sucking a ghost up the old-fashioned hoovers in the Red House on the quayside. You can't make it up. Carol Mullen, while my daughter was watching sunrise in Brunswick yesterday, her birthday, happy birthday, a little deer came right up to her really close and then just sauntered off. These kind of things are happening because nature's taking over again. You know, they go into the places that they used to have. Sue Hope, there's got a cartoon Sue there. My mother sees deer just around the corner where she lives. They're called muntjac deer. Yeah, they're common. They're the smaller ones with the tiny little horns. Very nice. Hang on, Crispin. The new video chat idea is brilliant. Whoever thought of it? Whoever thought of this? Aye. And there's a little halo. As I say, we've got no breaks at all, so we're cracking on. Michelle from Canada is up next. Hello. Hang on, there's Carry On songs as well. I'll read that out later. Can you put that back up again? There she is.
Hi.
Hello, Michelle. Whereabouts in Canada are you?
We're in North Vancouver, which is just across the water from Vancouver.
Oh, wonderful. Now, This is the bit where you don't need to speak French.
No.
You're the other end, absolutely.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So how did begin? Born and bred there, or where are you from?
No, I'm from England actually, and the reason we started listening to you was 2 years ago. My son got married. He lives in Darlington.
All right.
And so we went home for the wedding. And so we were listening to you on the radio in the car at some point while we were over there. And I thought, I like this radio show. So, and then within a year, I think it was, all hell broke loose for you, right? So that was, but I did get on a call with you 2 years ago. You were asking questions about what's your favorite childhood toy?
Right.
And I got on the radio from here, and I told you about the clackers, the clacker things that you clack together. But we moved here almost 10 years ago now.
Right. How easy was it? Because, a lot of people think about, especially now, people have been talking about with Brexit and all that business. A lot of people are leaping in that direction and others trying to come back. How easy is it for you to assimilate to an entirely new culture? I know they speak English, but that's probably the only thing you had in common.
Yeah, it's really hard. It still is, because we've got some lovely friends, don't get me wrong, and Canada is an absolutely beautiful country. We've got brilliant healthcare. Everything about it is absolutely fabulous, even the government. And you can't say that very often. Well, in my opinion, it is, compared to the UK. I'm only comparing it to the UK.
I'm sensing a but coming, though, here, Michelle.
Yeah, they don't get our sense of humour. So when you say something funny in response to something they've said or whatever, they just stare at you like, So you kind of feel like you're offending them, although you're not. But they just haven't got that sense of humour, and we really, really, really miss that sense of humour.
The funny thing about it is, when I was doing a lot of work in America, just across the border from you guys, the thing that I discussed, they don't do sarcasm at all. No. Sarcasm is an insult. You might be making a gag and everybody else would go, he's a wag, that guy. They don't get that at all. And they look at you as if you've just pooed in their pram. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. But I also feel a lot of people, we've met a lot of Brits here as well. There's an awful lot of Brits here who've done what we've done. And that Canadians are they're very nice people, don't get me wrong. They would do anything for you, but they're also very cocky. You know,
Right,
they're very confident people, very confident about themselves, and it kind of like, we didn't grow up like that. We kind of did, but we didn't. You know, they're overconfident here, but yeah, it's very different, but it's very nice. Yeah.
Now, question is, it's an obvious question, the things that you are pining for, because you see, if you live in, say, France or Belgium or the Netherlands, well, you get a ferry over, you can get a plane over in less than an hour, and you can pick up your Heinz baked beans. What kind of stuff do you wish you could pop over the border and pick up? Because you can still get Heinz baked beans in the States, but they're expensive.
Yeah, we can still get them here. There's a couple of shops, and they're called British butcher shops, and they sell all British stuff, but they're so expensive. Yeah. If I could come over, I would really, really, really like to go into one of these old-fashioned sweet shops and get some of the, you know, a quarter of this and a quarter of that, like we used to when we were kids.
Yeah.
But there's nothing really. When we first came over here, we really missed the taste because they don't put the GMOs in the food here. So we was kind of like craving for that kind of taste, and we couldn't get it anywhere. But we notice when we go home to England now, everything tastes too sweet for a start. It's like, oh my God, that's so sweet.
And the thing is, there's a problem with that, Michelle, because it's not actually sugar. Now, if it had been sugar, you can say, well, I'm a diabetic, so I've got to be super careful anyway. However, they've taken the sugar out because they're paying a high tariff to sell drinks with a lot of sugar in. Instead, they're putting that saccharine, nasty, and it tastes super sweet, but it's not sugar. And you can't half tell the difference. We've got a thing here you must have heard of when you were at home called Iron Brew.
Yes.
And I'm up in the Scottish borders where that is a sacred thing.
Yeah.
And but it tastes, they took the sugar out of it and they put this other thing in. And it's like when you mess with any recipe, it's just a mistake.
Yeah, but that is what we found. But we do miss, if I could come over now, I think we will probably get fish and chips, proper fish and chips. Because I don't do proper fish and chips.
Last time I had fish and chips, they had all the bones in it. And I'm thinking, bones in? It's just, it's in the fish. It's number one. You get the bones out first. Yeah. But apart from that, the old sweetie shop, got to be careful with the old sweeties because now if you find an old sweetie shop, they're not the same. You know how you used to be able to go in and you'd put threepence or sixpence or a shilling, blimey, in old you'd go out with a huge bag of sweets. Now you put that kind of money down and you can't even get a Freddo.
I know. Them Freddos are ridiculously priced now, aren't they?
It's very silly. So what are you guys doing over there to make a living, if you don't mind me asking?
My husband's in IT, so he's he looks after managed services. So if somebody's computers go wrong, the software goes wrong, he's in charge of making sure that somebody fixes that.
Right.
So brilliant. Yeah, he does that, and I'm an education assistant. So UKTA. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we're doing, and I've got one son here. He's 16, nearly 17. So he's gone through, I've had two sons. James is in the UK. He's gone through the British system and Jack's going through the Canadian system, and they are worlds apart, absolutely worlds apart, the two sets of educations.
Who's doing the best, Canada or Britain?
In terms of kids and disciplining them and keeping them on top of things, I would say Britain. But in terms of here, they bring it all on slowly. It's not done at a fast pace. They don't do all these SATs tests. They're not under that pressure. So it's a lot more relaxed, but they still come out as good as, if not a little bit better than they do in England. So it works. Right. Yeah, it works for them. So, but obviously he doesn't leave school till he's 18. You know, they're at high school till they're 18 here. And yeah, it's different. It's different, but it's good. You know, he loves it. He loves it.
No, that's good. Just to talk to you, because we know about lockdown and we know how it's gone around the world.
Oh yeah.
Nobody's told us what's happened in Canada. Has it hit?
Yeah, it has. So Montreal, which is where they're all, the French is, and the Quebec, Montreal, Quebec, and those places, Ottawa, they've had it really, really bad. They've had it quite bad, although their numbers are coming down today.
Good.
We haven't had it bad where we live in British Columbia. I think we've had about, now let me see. Well, put it this way, we had 2 cases yesterday. I think we've only had about a couple of thousand cases in total of a 5 million population.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've done pretty well. I just don't get it though. I don't get it why it's hitting some places and it's not hitting others, Same as London, London got it really bad. And
but did Canada lock down early or not?
We locked down before you, yeah. We locked down, I think it was about 10 to 12 days before you. Soon as we knew about it here, that was it. We were down. And we've been down since. And it's been, but I will tell you, we haven't closed everything up like UK did. We kept certain places open. We closed all of the parks, all of the schools. They were the things that they closed.
Yeah.
Deliveries, like your drive-ins and your deliveries of your food and stuff like this, they were always open.
Wow.
Always open. Yeah. So obviously from day one, doctors, GPs went online with the patients, dentists closed. Yeah, we've had a lot of things open. So it's kind of like weird because, we've done it differently. We've had places open. We locked down straight away. Yep. We haven't had many cases, so it's really weird.
Just sounds though that you maybe done it the right way. Had a few people contacting us to say what time is it in Canada. I'm guessing it's kind of early evening, about 7, is it? 7 odd?
No, it's 20 to 3 in the afternoon. We're 8
Good
hours.
heavens. Oh,
8 hours.
you're on the west. Yeah. You're on the west coast, of course. So right.
So in Montreal, Ottawa, and all that lot, they're 3 hours ahead of us. So
gotcha.
You'll be right in saying early evening. It is early evening there. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Fabulous talking to you. Thank you very much for coming on. Great to see you as well. Thank you. Thank you so much, because this is a new thing. Hopefully it'll fly and we'll get a chance to talk again. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Bye.
That's a goodbye. Oh, you muted her. She was saying goodbye. Gareth Davies, can you please say hello to the porters at Cramlington Hospital, please? Love your shows. Thank you very much. Got a good look about him. If you've got a message, you can message up again. Now, we promised to go quickly across to Chris. We've got Chris working behind the scenes somewhere as well. If we can show his... there he is.
Hi.
Trying to look butch. Hi, Chris. Now, traditionally, we dive into a whole load of things to talk about. We've had tons there with Michelle. You are bringing a little clip that I think everybody should have a look at. And this is all about when you're a kid, when you used to play football, have one bottle of pop between you, everybody would drink from it. And if you had sandwiches, the bottom inch would be a bread pudding before you were finished. What story have you got to tell?
This is just one of those videos that you cannot help but smile from ear to ear. 2 little kids, they're about 2, if that, sharing a bottle of Lucozade, and it's just one of those things. They get so hyper off it. I mean, have a look. It's just what we need during lockdown. You cannot not just grin from ear to ear. Look at it.
Brilliant. It's always the ginger one, isn't it? It's always the ginger. That's brilliant. No, that's very, very good. There's also been a lot of other good stories around about there's a young vegan girl who lost a stone, and all she did was cut out carbohydrates completely, but she said she ate one of those little variety boxes of Cocoa Pops, every day to kind of keep it going. And also, a farmer was arrested, because I know you're very keen on these daft little clips. Farmer was arrested today. I don't know whether you saw the story. He drowned his wife in liquid manure.
No,
that's not a good way to go. You've got a story about a drone too. Now, I think we might have some pictures of this. Tell us the background to it.
Well, essentially, two guys bought a drone and thought during lockdown, I think it was just before lockdown, obviously before we went into lockdown, they thought they'd go out and just have a mess about with it. It's one of these quite high-tech drones that records everything in HD quality. It
was Cannock Chase, apparently, where they were doing it. Now, have a look at this. Talk us through it, Chris.
The drone, it happens to be recording, and this is the area by young girl. And when they look at it, if you look at it on screen, look what they captured on the drone.
Now, I can't hear you, Chris, so just hang on in there, man. Right, now, let's get to the nitty-gritty, because they zoomed in, eventually they saw a figure with long black hair wearing a white gown in the middle of the trees. Now, Cannock Chase is famous for the ghost of Cannock Chase, which was in the 60s, I think it was 67, where a man murdered 3 young girls. And the oldest girl apparently had fought back the hardest, and the reason that he got caught was with scratches on his hands and scratches on his body, and he really made a mess of those kids, sadly. And this is exactly on the site where all of that took place. So you mentioned to me, I hadn't seen it up until that moment, but you told me before that you had the clip, and you came out with a quote, "It's either a fake or it's real." And that's
there's someone there, whether or not, I mean, they claim, because they've been interviewed about it on American TV recently, and they just look like 2 ordinary guys who are quite, they just went out with the drone to film it. They had no intentions, so they say, of going, they didn't even know the story behind it. It was when they got back, looked at the footage, Googled it, and found that story. They claim that they were just out with a drone, and that's what they captured. And it's up to you to decide whether there's any truth.
Absolutely. With respect to everybody at home as well, if you've got anything like that, you send it to us. We put it on. We talk about it. We do all of that. Also, we're in the middle of this lockdown. We're talking with Michelle there in Canada. A health scientist says that the risk of children catching it is, in his words, unbelievably low. So I wonder if anybody wants to talk about that. Teachers are trying not to go back to work. Now, thing is, I'm sorry, but I'm cynical. Teacher gets full pay, right? 80% furlough and 20% paid by their employers. It's all government money one way or another. And they don't want to go back. Well, if I had a class full of 30-odd grizzly suits, well, neither would I. But it's nothing to do with the health of the individual, I think. But I'd love everybody's views. And also, McDonald's went back. We were talking how fast food in Canada kept going. McDonald's opened today in half a dozen venues up and down the country. Peterborough had queues of 4.5 miles. Colby Newham, Middlesbrough, they had queues. They were blocking roads left, right, and centre. So just how desperate are we for a McFlurry? It just seems to be massive. You have a final one for us that kind of links Northeastern Giants and Night Owl listeners, hoorah, and Deck, with the biggest television soap upon planet. Tell us this.
I just thought during lockdown, the 2 things that people love most, Ant and Deck, Coronation Street, it's just one of these things. Watch it. It takes your mind off everything that's going on for about a minute and a half. What's not to love about it?
What is it, though?
It's when it all goes wrong. We love a good outtake on telly. Obviously, we're not going to see any tonight because it's going to go perfectly. It's going to be seamless. This is when it goes wrong.
Millionaires have been made. Millionaires have been made.
And dreams have been shattered.
Millionaires Millionaires.
Sorry. It's been gone forever now. Been farting around.
Sorry, this is it. This is the one. Millionaires have been made.
And dreams have been shattered. Get it out, let it out. Let it out, then it's gone.
Millionaires have been made.
And dreams have been shattered.
Brilliant.
Not the love, you know. So if you have a bad, just stick that on and.
But you know
everything's
yourself that as soon as we've had a few people that have just called in and giggled, and they couldn't stop giggling, and you get to the end of the call and they haven't actually told us what they were wanting. Let's get another caller on. And again, thanks for your bits, Chris.
No,
Incidentally, you'll notice that there's no adverts, there's no breaks. We're cracking straight on. My next caller, I'm told, is Helen from Anfield Plain. Hello, Helen. There she is. Oh, she's dressed up for me. Oh, that's canny. Thank you.
It's not Helen, it's Alison.
Oh, hang on. I've got Helen from Anfield Plain here. Then Tony's gone, oops, Alison. Sorry, Alison. We've put you right eventually. Well, thank you very much for coming on, Alison. What do you want to talk about, sweetheart?
Quite all right. Well, I've got a question for you, Alan.
Right.
What it is, somebody came on today and asked me this question, and I thought it was really good, and it's a really one to get your teeth into. So basically, if this second somebody made you the boss of the whole world, what 3 things would you change? If anything that you said would happen.
Everything that I said would happen.
Yep, 3 things. What would you change?
I'll get politicians to tell us the truth about everything, because over the last few months we've heard a lot of what I think is absolute BS, and that's one thing I would do. Secondly, I would pour a pile of money into the National Health Service and make that, because it's always been our safety net, and now they've told people during this BS period that elderly people don't ring your doctor for 12 weeks. Now, I'm sorry, but that's sinful, because the people who are in most danger are those people, and they've put the most into the system, and they deserve to get a little bit back. So that's the second thing. The third thing, but it would have to come true. Is that what you're saying? Whatever I say has to. Right. I would get rid of all religions.
Oh.
I know, even mine, and I have great faith in my own personal belief, which is nature. Yeah. And I can prove mine. Just got to open the door in the morning. What's that stag run up Northumberland Street or the big market? Yeah. But if you get rid of all what would we fight about? Yeah, we got nothing to fight about. The vast majority of people that have been lucky enough to travel around the world doing some of the shows and such. And every time I've met somebody, and it doesn't matter what colour or creed, they treat you like a brother. They'll give you the last item of food, even if they're going hungry themselves. Yeah. And then you think, what happens if that person comes to Britain? They're shouted at by some numpty down the street, and it's shameful. So I would get rid of all that. What would you do? Come on. I'm not answering those 3 without you having a pop.
Well, I went a bit bigger than you. I kind of went global.
Right. You went global. Hang on. Yeah. I'm even bringing my mouse in for this. Right.
Well, the first one would be I would share all money out so that everybody had the same amount of money, because then everybody would have the same amount of opportunities and kind of they could go and do what they wanted to do. So that would be my first one.
Now, hang on. Just before you go on from there, that idea is essentially what a lot of Russian people wanted in about 1898 to about 1912, hence the Russian Revolution and all of that. Let's share out the money. And what they said was that if you shared out all of the money in a year, one person would have 9/10 of everybody's money, and everybody else would have, because everybody goes, I've got money, and splurge it everywhere. So I love the idea, if people were sensible, but we're not really. I mean, some would gamble
But
it
it would
away.
give everybody a kick start, wouldn't it?
That's true.
It
That's
would set a
absolutely
level
true.
playing for now, and then it would be a case of like, go for it. And I think there'd be so many people that don't get opportunities that could do amazing things, and the ones that have got money that were given to it, like just inherited it, basically, would they go as far?
Well, I was having this conversation with my partner earlier in the week, and it was all about the thing that I don't understand is, and it's banks and big business, and you'll get a guy who he's worked for 25 years, so they give him a £3 million payoff at the age of 60.
Yeah.
3 million, and you think, how much does this guy need? He's had a great wage every week, but you're going to give him 3 million, and then 6 months later they hire him back as a consultant and pay him
gets more money.
More money, and they do this at the BBC as well. Whoa. So you're thinking, oh, there you go. Tracy Spamler Andrews says, I love the sharing money out. She's already got a hat. She's waiting for hers right now.
I think it would go down really well at the minute.
Oh, we're all on the
If
cheeks of our
everybody just woke
backside.
up tomorrow morning and all their bank accounts were the same.
Yeah, but the worry is that all the people that's actually saved up for 40 years has to give their money back to the people that have sat on their backside. So there's a bit of that. Hang on, David Johnson. Alan, you'd make the best Prime Minister ever. Well, I think I've just found me Chancellor of the... Hang on, other way. No, that way. Chancellor of the Exchequer. There you are. So what's your second one then, Alice?
My second one would be to change the education system.
Oh, ho, ho. How?
Because I think that... I don't think kids are given the opportunity to be as imaginative as they could be. And I think that is where we have stuck in kind of like early this century. We invented loads of things happened, and then we've slowed down. And I think that's a lot to do with the education system. And I love teachers, absolutely love it. And I think they do a fantastic job. But I think if they were given more freedom, they'd be able to do a better job. I think the restraints are too big on them.
Right.
So the kids aren't allowed to just be inventive and go with their strong points. They kind of narrow them out across the whole board.
Right.
To make sure that they've got a bit of everything. So the ones that excel in certain things, they're not allowed to excel as much as possibly they could. If it was a bit more flexible and a bit more free. And I think if teachers had the opportunity to say, I've got 30 kids in a class and I've got 10 of them that are doing this and they're doing it really well, like they can go that route, they can go that route, they can do that. I just think it would just be a lot better than saying, right, you've got to do a science, you've got to do a history, a maths, a geography. And I just think it's kind of that's holding the education system down.
I think that's great. The thing that I hated when I was a kid, mind you, it's probably not done like this because this was probably featured in the Book of Revelations. It was so long ago. But when I was at school, by the time you got to something like 13, 14, you had to decide what you were studying in your last 2 years. And I had no idea what I wanted to be. So how could you pick right? And also the other thing that schools, I think, get wrong, they don't have any kind of specialist in to talk about careers. They'll give it to the biology teacher who gets 9 leaflets and he sits in a room and says, I think you can be a this and you can be a that. And they've got no idea what your potential is. And that's what you're talking about, to give kids the chance to go.
And it varies so much from like north to south. It's completely different. I just know, like, by the school I was in, it was kind of like you either go to work at Tesco or you go to, well, it wasn't Tesco then, it was the Co-op or Asda, and if you were really lucky, you could like get into the NHS or something, but that was about it. That was all we got. Yeah. Where Rob, my other half, who was brought up down like central London,
right,
he just went to a normal school, but like he did his work experience on Spit and Image. On like behind the scenes on Spit and Image,
that's
and it's
brilliant.
like he got into that and did loads of things like that, and it's like he used to go rowing and sailing and didn't used to do that in Anfield playing.
No, there's not a whole heap of that there. That's a fact.
No.
How did you end up getting married to Southern Jessie then? How did that happen?
Well, we've only been married for 10. We're coming up 10 years. I went to train with Paul Mckenna. I went to train in hypnosis and NLP. Right. And while I was on the training course, we met each other and got on really, really well. But we were both with other partners then. And then about 4 years later, we got in touch again and we were both on our own then. And he came up to see me. We went out one weekend and pretty much he never went back again.
That's great. Now that's
and
tremendous.
Then we got married 6 months later.
That's fantastic. I know. Well done, you. That's tremendous. So incidentally, Paul Mckenna, years and years and years ago, he started his career as a DJ in Topshop.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you know this. And when he would finish working in Topshop, he came to the radio station where I used to work, and he made all my jingles. He was an amazing sound producer. Tremendous. He's a lovely bloke. Yeah. Lovely bloke. Haven't seen him for a little while.
I love him.
He's a good man.
I trained with him over a few years, and then I took my daughter Tyler down. She went and trained, and so she was a master practitioner in NLP as well.
Fantastic.
So
I think you've actually. I think you've got his eyes. He's letting you. Wonderful. So the final thing then, you've got 2 down and 1 to go.
My final thing, this is another controversial one. It's to do with Africa and the starving people and the people who I see every single year on the television. You see all these kids dying. You see these kids walking for miles to get water. And you see them living in a way that basically just is so far behind how we live. Mm. And I just think I would move them all into like kind of villages and like move them together so they didn't have to walk for 20 miles to get the water. And so they all had a doctor and then would build them a hospital. And I just
sounds so simple, doesn't it?
Got it. Yeah, I've never got why they don't do that. And I know there's a lot to do with religion and stuff like that and how they live over
tribalism
there,
as well in Africa as well. There's a bit of that.
Yeah.
But the one that I really hate looking at, and I had when I used to work for the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food back in the day, there used to be a lady who worked there who had a hair lip and she had it operated on, and she was just a lovely person. But you could see her whole life had been affected by the thing that had happened to her and the way that she talked. You got to learn to talk a slightly different way. Yeah. And she'd been bothered by this her whole life. And when I see those little kids coming on and they've just got you think,
it's awful.
Stop filming. Just give them the money now and get them sorted out. Nasty.
Yeah, whoever made that film, give them that money. I just think I seem to have watched it since I was young. And I think, how is that still a problem?
Right.
They get all that money ploughed in. Why is it still a problem? And it's probably my naivety, and it's probably me not looking at the full picture. But I just see it on the television, and I just think, will somebody go in and because we know that part of the country is so rich and part of it's so poor, and that gets down to the spreading the money out and kind of helping everybody so that every human being should be equal. Because we all the same.
I nearly burst into a Bob Marley song right there, but you're absolutely you're absolutely right, and it's common sense, and it's the one thing that politicians never talk about because they don't want equality, because they're in the top 5%. Yep. They're the ones that have a drive that I probably wouldn't be able to walk the length of. You need a vehicle to do that, and if you live in that kind of lifestyle, you don't see what normal people have to contend with on a day-to-day, and it's shocking. Over in Africa, of course, you've got terrorism and everything that's born out of poverty, though, you see. So if you could cure that, and then you've got leaders of countries getting huge grants from Europe and sticking it in their back pocket, and that doesn't help either. But there's I don't think it's naivety. I just think there's a lot of people out there that are in it for themselves rather than in it for their people, and that's a sad thing.
Exactly, yeah. And I just think it's just spread it all out and give it to everybody and let everybody have a fighting chance.
I'd vote for you. I say you have my vote, Alison. Bless you. Thank you very much for coming on. It's been lovely meeting you. Thank you.
Yes, lovely to see you like this. I'm here with my.
Hey, there you go. It's official. Thanks a lot, Alan.
Bless you all. Take care.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bless you, darling. Is she lovely? Fantastic. Our next caller, I'm reliably informed, but mind you, I got the last name wrong, so this could be wrong also. It's Alex from Barnard Castle. Let's see.
Hiya, mate.
There you go. Hiya, man. Oh, I love the hairstyle. Brilliant.
Oh, cheers, buddy. It's bedhead. I've just started my night shift.
Have you? Oh, what are you doing?
I'm mental health support worker, mate. You had us on about a month ago, mate, with my group COVID cuts.
Yes.
You remember now?
I do, absolutely. Hey, no, great to talk to you again. The mental health area has been massively changing over the last few years, and you've lost all of that late night 24-hour emergency team that used to come out and rescue people. How do you pick up the pieces from someone like that?
To be honest, mate, I'm quite lucky. I'm on. We've got a lad shadowing us tonight, so it's meant I can get off shop floor for a couple of minutes. But I've been on hold for about half an hour. I'm freaking out. They're probably sack us in the morning. But I know. I just wanted to shed some light on our charity, mate. Since we last spoke, we're now over 3,000 members, and we've raised over £7,000 for local causes in the area.
Amazing.
That's £5,000 for local hospitals, including Darlington, Bishop Auckland, and Richardson's in Barnard Castle.
Great.
And this week we've just done a £1,000 shop in Poundland in Darlington to make care packages for residents. We delivered about 200 of those this week, and we're just going from strength to strength.
It's tremendous. Because when you start doing these things, you never know. You could fall flat on your face and think, we should never started that. But this one's just took off like a rocket, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, mate. To be honest, it's not just me, mate. We've got a lad called Tom Howe. He's my main partner in crime, if you must. He does all our online entertainment, and he puts a lot of hours in for note. And then we've got the likes of Grace Howard, Scott Richardson, Tom Alexander, Rosie Brown, who also they put all their hours in to make the care packages for the residents, and it was just a lovely touch. We've seen films and footage of them opening the gifts and that, and it really brings it home, really, for what we're all doing it, why we're doing it, if you know what I mean. But I'd just like to say, mate, if anyone gets onto the COVID Cuts page this weekend, we've got a full weekend of music festival that we took over. We took over basically Barnard Castle's meat parade. That was dead in the it was dead in the water, mate. So we took that on last week, and it's been busy, but we've managed to secure over 40 music acts, and we've got other entertainment competitions. We've had numerous businesses donate and stuff.
Right. So if they want to go online, you can be part of it.
Yeah, 100%, mate. If you go onto COVID Cuts Facebook page, that's COVIDCUTZ. You can join our YouTube channel from there as well to subscribe, where all our weekend entertainment will go live throughout the whole weekend. And to be honest, mate, it's just we've gone from strength to strength. But I just wanted to update a few people who probably wanted to hear about it.
No, that's good stuff. You look knackered now. What time are you finishing? 6 o'clock in the morning?
8:30 in the morning, mate. Don't be telling me that. I've only just started, man. If I look bad now, there's no one, is there?
Hey, no worries. Have a good night anyway. Take it easy,
mate,
man.
Look
Thanks
after
for coming.
yourself, Alan. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself.
Bye-bye. COVID Cuts with a Z. Make sure you check that out. Now, looking at the time, I think we are going to, I can't believe it. Somebody that I know, and can I just apologize, dear listener, for the state of what you're about to see. It's Kenny D. Kenny! Hello, Ken!
Hi, Alan, you all right?
Look at that suntan. You've been looking down.
Look at this. Look at this.
I'm seeing it. Are you all right?
I'm great, thank you. Yeah, really good. Really good.
Tell me about this furlough business. How's it working for you?
Probably like most people, when it first starts off, you think it's like a holiday, couple of weeks holiday, sunshine, but then it gets really difficult. I mean, this week, I would imagine, I've spoken to a lot of people, and they've all said they find it really hard now. And people are starting, the cracks are appearing, and people are finding it tough, and they have to, I mean, when you live by yourself kind of thing, you get up in the morning, you try and do everything you can. I've been giving myself a to-do list of right, I'm going to do the kitchen today, I'm going to do tiling, I'm going to do wallpapering, I'm going to do the garden, finish that, and things like that, just to keep us going and to keep your mind active and busy. And I think you've got to, because you're furloughed for so many months now. And you know what I'm like. I'm used to working every single day and doing gigs afterwards, and you haven't got that. And even DJing, you haven't got any DJing now, because obviously the pubs and clubs are all shut. So therefore,
the entertainment business, main Ken, right across the board, it's everybody that's out. I mean, it's not just jocks, it's singers, bands, performers of every kind. They were all suffering.
Yeah, and it's difficult when you can't perform and stuff. I mean, I've done bits and pieces on YouTube and stuff, DJing, but honestly, when you can't do that and you can't do what you want to do and what you love doing, it's really difficult. So you're stuck in the house. You can't go out to any of the shops to do anything because they're all shut.
Right.
So
Sure.
it's tough, you know. It really is tough, and I found it really tough this week.
I'm going to have to make a note there. Kenny D has admitted on World TV is has difficulty performing. Right. Okay. You what's that strip behind you? Got an England strip. Is that signed by somebody or what?
That's Jeff Hurst. Yeah. The England strip is signed by Jeff Hurst. It's from
that's
the World.
Pele next door.
Is
that Pele?
Me and Pele together, and the World Cup, the actual real World Cup look.
Yeah. Yeah. And Pele came over, but I remember when he did, he had his arm in a sling, and he said, but he didn't have a bad arm. He just put his arm in a sling so nobody could ask him for an autograph. What a cheeky note!
Because he would be stuck signing autographs all night. So he put in his thing, said, I can't sign autographs. So he could get in and come in with us and do the radio show. And we had an art exhibition that he was opening. So we went to that with him, with Bobby Robson as well. And it was a fantastic night. But there's a great story where our manager took him in the car, crashed the car with Pele in. And there's a picture somewhere of Pele trying to fix the bumper on the front of the car.
But how did he sign for you then? Well, I mean, what power did you have over this international football?
Well, he stayed just above us in 55 degrees in the penthouse. So he stayed in there, and then we took him to the art exhibition in the cars, as I say before. Our manager crashed it with him in there, got him there, and then afterwards come back with him, and I was in the flat with him. And so, yeah, got him to sign that for me and get the picture. Brilliant.
Paul Johnson's just shouted, yeah, Kenny D. There you go. You see your favourite procedure. Now, the thing is, we've got to talk a little bit about Newcastle United because obviously there's this takeover. We've been talking takeover, I think, for probably 6 years. However, it looks like this one's crystallising and Newcastle United could become a footballing superpower. Even the mouse is excited. So, how close do you think we are? Because you've got fingers in that particular area. You're a mad keen black and white.
I am, but sometimes you do wonder because the club itself, it always, there's always going to be takeovers. There's always going to be something happening, and then it doesn't happen, and everyone's disappointed. My own personal feeling of it is that Mike Ashley doesn't really need the money because I can see. And it's awful to say it, but the shopping centres are going to struggle in the future. The likes of local shopping centres, the Metro Centre, Eldon Square, I think they're going to struggle because there's a lot of money that they're not intaking at the minute. And he goes to the high streets, doesn't he? He owns most of the high street shops, so therefore people are going to have to go shopping somewhere, and they're going to go to the high street. So does he need the money? I don't think he does. So would he need then to sell Newcastle United? I don't honestly know. But I would think he'd want to because it's probably a problem to him now. So I'm hoping against hope that this time it actually goes through and that we get the investment and we get a decent team and give the fans actually what they want, a trophy. How good would it be before the day you die that we see Newcastle lift a trophy?
Well, in my lifetime, remembering that I do go back to the time of the Romans, I can remember Newcastle. I was at St James's Park when they lifted aloft the UEFA Fairs Cup.
Yeah, the Fairs Cup, yeah. 1960.
I know. I was also there for a 7-1 victory over Leicester to see them promoted from the Championship to the Premiership. So in the grand scheme of things, and they're still in the Premiership. My question though is, and if you think about this, a lot of people are kind of against Mike Ashley, and I've been for 1,000 reasons. However, let's see who potentially is going to take over from him. Or it was the guy we think that ordered Khashoggi to be chopped into pieces and stuck in a bag and ferried out of the embassy. just perhaps we're not going to be prepared to criticise anybody that takes over from Mike Ashley. Do we have to keep a bit quiet and just pretend all of this didn't happen or something? It's an scary, isn't it?
It is a little bit. I mean, suddenly Mike Ashley's not such a bad man, is he?
Well, it might have been a Mike Ashley sports bag that Khashoggi went out in. I don't know about that.
But it's a bit worrying, isn't it, when you hear stuff like that. But would most fans care, or would they just think, please put some money into us, let's get some decent players and let's win some games and win a trophy? I think the majority of people would love that. I mean, look at the season now. We don't know what's going to happen. Celtic have been crowned champions in Scotland. So you would think that Liverpool are going to be crowned champions. You would think here, we are still in the FA Cup. Yeah, we're one of 8 teams still in the FA Cup. Would you like to see that we've been given part of the FA Cup and see Newcastle have been part winners? Right, I would give me that. I'll have that.
No, but it's cheating. It's the whole thing. And also, incidentally, the Khashoggi thing are merely allegations hurled out into the wind. So nobody knows the proof. He may prove to be a totally decent guy who's prepared to buy Edison Cavani, Lionel Messi, Ronaldo. There's a front line that you see, because you know yourself that my involvement with Newcastle was mainly during the time of the entertainers.
Yeah.
And blame me, that's when Newcastle had a star in every department, pretty much. Newcastle had a star back then. So why not again?
Exactly, yeah. Why not do all that again? I mean, the whole thing needs revamped, doesn't it? I mean, I would love to see you back there doing that. You know, that St. James is doing the warm-up, pre-match warm-up and all that. Honestly, it would be brilliant, wouldn't it, if we could have them days back again.
Happy days indeed. Hey, but Ken, thank you very much. Yes, I'm listening and loving the program. I'd love to come on here, but I'm not sure how the picture thing would work with me being totally blind. I would not know which way my phone was facing. Kenny is a legend. His Friday night show on Saturday, and I'm sure it's always fantastic. And that's from a Sunderland fan and Hibernian, of course. That's Carl Macker. So there you go. But Ken, great having you on. Thanks. That's a very pleasant.
And all the listeners, love you all. Keep safe.
Take it easy, man. Thank you. Now, we said it a little bit earlier that we would love to get you singing and playing and all the best of it. And hey, we have an absolute treat. This guy has been on my shows on a good few occasions. If anybody deserved a massive contract, it's this guy. From his band Reigns, this is Mark. Where are you, Mark? I can just see your band at the moment. There he is. You hungy, chunky soul. Good to see you again. How you doing?
I'm very well. How are you, Alan?
I'm all right. Why are you sitting with all your clothes hanging on the thing? Are you going to do some quick changes for me?
Do you want the honest reason is my clothes used to be in another room where my wardrobe was, and my dad has a very big habit of just kind of going around the house chucking things out. And he thought, you know what, I'm going to dismantle the entire wardrobe. So now I've been stuck to put all my clothes behind me.
Well, it's probably good to swallow the sound, though, when you're playing, you see. It'll muffle it a bit for the neighbours. So
exactly.
That's a good thing. But you're going to play something for us. What are you going to do then, Mike?
I am. So I think last time I was on the show was a long time ago. We were talking about, we hadn't actually released any music at the time. And since our last chat, we've put out 3 songs, actually. So I'll play 1 or 2 depending on time. But
just to remind everybody, you teamed up with these guys kind of long distance, didn't you?
Yeah. So the other 2 guys, Matt and Joe, are from America, both from North Dakota. So we met. Very, very long story short, we met about 3 years ago when I was, gigging around the local area, doing all the bars, pubs, restaurants, wherever would take me, basically. Posting stuff on Instagram and online. And then one of the guys in America found one of the videos, liked what he heard, messaged me, said, "Do you want to join a band in LA?" I thought, yes, I do. That sounds wonderful. and then, I was booked on a plane to America, and then that's when it all started.
Boom. So what's the name of the song you're going to do?
So this song is called Lemon Drop. It's the first song we ever released. And I love it. So I hope you guys do as well.
I'm sure we will. Good luck. Enjoy. Thank you, Mark. Go for it.
Thanks. Soon I'll be at the top, probably choke on a lemon drop. It's really embarrassing, but this look is everything. I'm willing to brave disgrace and leave just a pretty blue face. Maybe it seems insane, but at least you're entertained. They fall for you and they see that you've got away. It's all for you, but they beg for it anyway. They love the lines that you hardly remember at all. It's better if you live fast than leave too soon. I'm telling them that I won't stop until it gets even sweeter. Sucking on a love, hope I taste this shot to the mouth. So wait, how long before I finally forget the place that I left such a sour taste? But the sugar rush is alright. Whoa, 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 whoa. The rush is alright. Whoa, 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 whoa. The rush is alright. Whoa, 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 whoa. So is it overkill if I move to Beverly Hills and savor the kinds of thrills that fit through a $20 bill? Probably lose control and tie a ticket to my tumble down soul. Maybe I'll make the trade. I'll be the prince of another parade. They dress me up and I throw them another smile. Impress the party, but I'm still my mother's child. Well, fragile bones, I should never be left alone. If I'm lucky, I can live fast and leave too soon. I'm telling him that I won't stop until it gets even sweeter. Sucking on a love, hope I taste this shot to the mouth. So wait, how long before I finally forget the place I left such a sour taste? But the sugar rush is alright. Whoa, 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 whoa. The rush is alright. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm telling him that I won't stop until it gets even sweeter. Sucking on a love, up, I'll taste the shot to the mouth. So wait, how long before I finally forget the place that I left such a sour taste? But the sugar rush is alright. Whoa, 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 whoa. The rush is alright. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. But the sugar rush is alright.
Is Mark Rains from Rains. Where's he gone? He was there a minute ago. There he is. Hello. Hey, congratulations. That was tremendous.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
We were just saying that the entertainment industry is essentially gone for this moment. Must have hit you guys like a hammer because everybody wants you with a voice like that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, look, it's been a really hard time for everyone, but I think it's no secret that the entertainment industry has taken a massive hit, and we felt that as much as anyone. So we were touring around the UK. We had a lot of shows in London booked, and the guys were over here for a couple of months playing shows. We had music to put out, and then that all got cut short by about a month and a half because of obviously what's happened. So all the shows got cancelled. And yeah, we just kind of we've all been separated now. But I think one thing hasn't changed that much is the fact we're used to working remotely. With us all being from different parts of the world, a lot of what we do normally is kind of remote. So it's not been too much of a change, but definitely the live music side of things is a big miss, and we're feeling that as well.
Sure. I mean, Ethel's just put a message up on screen. What a great voice. And that is being backed up 1,000 times. You know how impressed I was the first time I heard your voice. And it was one of those things. I know you've got an amazing future ahead of you and you deserve it and you're looking brilliant.
Thank you.
So stay well, Mark. All the best, and keep in touch, please.
Yes, good to see you, Alan. Thanks very much for having me on. Appreciate it.
All the best, man. Take it easy, and
All right,
thanks for
take
doing
care.
what you did. Bless him. Lemon Drop. Brilliant. Good stuff, good people, and that's what it's all about. We have Sarah next, who is from Middlesbrough. Hello, Sarah. Hey, hello. No stood as well, blame me. I'm doing.
You okay?
I'm good. Yes, what do you want to talk about tonight?
I wanted to talk about my uncle who's recently had an operation, but I
Right.
also wanted to comment on one of your other callers. What do you call him?
Please, go for it.
About the whole equality thing with.
All right, yeah.
Like I totally agree with that. Like one of the positive things for me out of this is the fact that there's been a lack of celebrity. It's been more about like the heroes and more about like the hospital
Real
workers
people.
and things like that.
Yeah, proper people. The problem is you're probably the target for all the magazines, all of the zippy TV channels, the MTVs, selling celebrity and Kardashian and all those kind of things. You're the target for all of that. And yet you sound like that's not the way that you want it anymore. I mean, a major shift here.
I know it's quite strange because like yourself, you're in the industry, and then we've just had a guy. I feel quite bad saying it now because we've just had a singer on who needs the work. I do photography as well, gig photography when I'm not doing my job at the supermarket. So obviously I've lost out on that as well. But I just feel a bit more. I don't know whether communist is the word, but I feel a bit more like with all this, it's made me feel more like I wish the world was more equal.
Yeah, no, but it's always been that way. And the thing that we've tried to do over the years on Night Owls, everybody's the same, and everybody. Well, but now we can see what people look like when they have opinions like your own. But previously, radio as a medium, you're just a voice. You're not a color. You're not a creed. Everything's even there. And we're even too. I mean, we're just two people sitting at the end of a bit of technology having a chat. That's how it should be. But I absolutely agree with you. The whole celeb thing, it just appears ridiculous now to me. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I just don't like the idea of there being so many really, really rich people in the world, and then there's so many people that have nothing, and then like I just feel bad for people. I'm really emphasizing with people more than ever right now.
You're hinting at revolution, though.
Yeah.
Is that right?
No, not quite, but
not quite.
You know what I mean.
No, I do think it's just brought people to think a little bit more about other people other than themselves, and we've had a lot of time to do that. And normally you don't. I mean, if you're working in a supermarket, you'll have worked right the way through this, and you'll not have had any time.
Yeah, when it first started, I was there when the panic buying first started, and it was so scary. It just felt like an apocalypse, and there was it was very strange. I was having to tell British parents that had just had babies that they could only have, I think it was 2 baby milks and things like that.
Right.
And it's crazy because obviously in Britain you're not. In other countries you'd expect things like that, but in Britain it was like, whoa, this is really like serious now. Like it's horrible having to tell people that.
Sure. And it put you in an impossible position, because I think over time people got to respect what you were doing, because you were the only people that were there, and quite often the only people they could talk to, because some of the elderly people living on their own, the only time they were going to converse is with somebody in a supermarket, maybe. So I think you ended up getting a lot of respect. But right at the very beginning, you became, well, you can't come in, you will stand there. That was a tough place to put you in.
Yeah, it was horrible. I felt like a marshal at some points. Like, you have to stand now you can come here, you can stand there now. And I didn't like it. But,
I'm guessing though you were never short of toilet paper, though.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like I'm kind of glad to be working in a supermarket right now.
Well, you're the cleanest bum so far on the show, but thank you very much for coming on, Sarah. Lovely to hear from
I
you.
actually want to speak about something else. Do you want to have
Oh,
any
do
time?
it. Go for it. Go. Do it,
Sorry,
please.
totally got sidetracked. I actually wanted to talk about my uncle Vincent, who's in the background.
Oh, there he is. Hello, Vince. There he is. Hey. Tell me about this man.
He's 61. He's also, he'll probably go mad at me for saying that. He's also a key worker. He's hearing impaired, and he recently, so in March, he had a serious operation booked, but he had symptoms of COVID-19, so he couldn't make the operation.
Right.
And so on the 30th of April, he got booked back in, and I was like terrified, saying, I don't want you to go back in, like it's not safe. And I just was like, oh, I don't know, like, and then so I like got all the information I could, and we found out that the ward was like, completely like free of COVID, and that they get tested before they go in.
Yeah.
And he had a chest X-ray. He had, what was it, swabs up your nose, down your throat, and in your eye area, like everywhere, to make sure he got it. And then he had this operation, and obviously, luckily, he's survived. And I just wanted to point out the importance of people still having routine operations during the pandemic, because I know that a lot of people, like we did, like we cancelled it originally because if he was there, we were scared and things. And I think if he hadn't have had that, it could have been more serious than going in and
No, absolutely. No, total respect to the man, and wish him to get back to health as soon as he possibly can, because we need people like that, special folk. Hey, but thank you very much for coming on, Sarah. Bless you, darling. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Good to talk to you.
Bye. Well, there's Sarah from Middlesbrough. And you see what you get, though, when you talk to her, she's talking about celebrity and the fakeness, the falseness of it all. And it is. It appears to be a something. Alan, I love your indirect promotion of freedom of speech and equality whilst respecting everyone's opinion. Hello from Essex. Matthew, you're a sweet man. Thank you. And I'm also going to say a big hello to Aunt Marie, who is gorgeous, Tim, who is funny looking, and Lexi the dog. They are watching in Hull. Thank you very much for your kind remarks. I gather you're liking what you are seeing. And we have our next caller, Paul from South Shields. Blimey, a face from the past, and probably better left there as well. Hello, Paul. How you doing?
Hello, Alan. It's great. This is great, apart from seeing all this. Like,
you are the size of a camper van.
I'll tell you what, I've got my own gravitational pull now, man.
Now, we were most concerned about your missus, because she's one of those at risk. How's she doing? Is she all right?
Oh, well, yeah, she's been nagging with to do with the garden. She likes her flowers in the garden, you know. So I got chased out to go and get some, well, not manure. I could have got some bags of manure, but no, I got some compost and some soup pellets to keep her happy. But then there's something else, isn't it? You know, there's always something else, isn't it?
No, but the thing is, you've been working right the way through this as well, haven't you? Pretty much, or not?
No, I've been furloughed, my man.
Oh, blimey, right. So
yeah,
you're not mind that. But you're red faced, so you've obviously been out in that sun that we've had over the last few days, eh?
You know what? I was just having a shave while I was waiting to get on, so I might be a bit.
He's got the extra yard. Good lad, excellent. So your latest job, though, is I think the scariest thing that you could possibly have done. Let's put the roundest man I know at the top of like 50-foot ladders, washing windows or using cameras or whatever.
50 meters, Alan. 50
Jeepers. I mean, that's just ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
That's half 100 meters when you think about it. How the hell did it? Is it one of those that has ladders kind of like that?
No, it's like a telescopic jib. It folds out from the truck. Hey, he says, we are trying to get your hands going right.
I know it, because I always want to point. Oh, there, got it right for the first time, and I've been doing that. I've been.
Well done.
Right, whatever. We'll work it out.
Anyway, it starts off all folded up, right? Then it opens out like that, and then that bit telescopes out and takes that bit with it.
Right.
And then you unfold that bit. It's got a cage at the end, and then you can telescope that bit out as well.
Jeepers.
All hydraulics.
But you're on it. Is there not like a weight requirement? You can't have more than X to be in the basket?
Some of the baskets take 400 kilograms, and the bigger ones, which I can get in, are 600 kilograms. So that's room for a small person.
Right.
You
can either have a dozen men up there or Paul. Paul. But I mean, hey, how did you end up doing that? Because the last time I heard of what you were doing was years and years ago, and it was you were working down the docks where.
Well, I took my redundancy from there, and I went and I paid for myself to go through my class 2. I thought, I'll try doing a bit of truck driving because I always fancied that.
Yeah.
So I wound up doing some agency work. First one I got stuck with was a removals company.
Right.
Well, when I turned up, with the clan, you have a new lad on the job, and they were like, "Oh, I would thought you're one of these drivers that just comes along and sits on his arse." Excuse the French. While we do the graft, I says, "I'm a hell." So I says, "How I'll get stuck in?" 20 minutes, I was knackered.
Paul from South Shields is the legend before our eyes. There you are.
Legend.
People remember you from way back. It's funny though because you weren't on the show for literally years and years and years and years and years, and then all of a sudden now you're back, which is fabulous. Angela Marie Morn says, "Cannon, Paul, there you are. Still got your family. It's tremendous." I mean, explain to me though this whole idea of furlough and how it's affected you, because everybody that they ask seems to say, "Oh, I don't think we should go back yet." But I think that's because, well, who the hell would want to go back to work if you're getting all your money and you're not actually having to go?
I'm not quite getting all my money. I'm getting 80% is provided by the government.
Right.
And then I get a percentage of the employer as well.
Right, but does that not add up to pretty much what?
Not the full wage, no.
Yeah, all right.
Not with the overtime and that makes me money up, Aye.
Right. No, I see that. So, I mean, they're telling everyone to go back. Have they? Or are they just not telling you? Everybody else is back.
They want everybody else but me,
Paula Marshall, great to see Paul. Legend. Yes, see you. Paul's amazing, says Clary. She's not wrong.
Oh, look, I'm blushing now.
You're getting a lot of love from that. That's good. A lot of people tuning in, which is great. So, I mean,
explanation for the red bit, like I've got red curtains.
That's all right. I'm trying to work out where you are. Where are you exactly? Because
I'm in my man cave.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's my man cave. Yeah, I'll show you around. You see, there's all the guitars in the corner. Look.
Oh, there they are. Brilliant.
Yeah, Shame I can't play them. And then there's me shelves full of all the junk.
Shame I can't
and
play
then
them.
There's me telly.
Brilliant. Are you
there's
going
me computer.
Fabulous.
Right.
No, that's.
And there's me little pals that watch over us on
your minions.
Me minions.
Excellent. Sharon Stone on the telly as well. I've just noticed as well.
Oh yeah.
So don't uncross your legs, Paul. We don't want that to happen today. That's. I think that's too much for all of us. Brilliant. Right now, normally you've got some kind of joke or gag, or you always did. You got anything for you tonight?
I have nothing for you tonight. I just want to come on and try this out. And it's true what they say, the TV puts pounds on you.
The thing is actually the slimmest person. Paul, the weird thing was today, I was looking through a batch of old papers, and the rock show that I used to do, we used to put occasionally in the middle of the show, we'd put a news on, and I'd get the news person to read fake stories. And people would think that they were real stories because it had the gravitas and the jingle and all of that. And one of them was, I noticed that some of the states in the Middle East had banned the Flintstones from the television. It seems that people in Saudi Arabia and Dubai don't understand their humor. But abidabadoo. Come on! That wasn't bad for all those years ago. We can live with that. Hey, Paul, thank you very much, man. Great seeing you.
Thanks very much, Alan. Cheers, buddy.
Take care, man. Bye-bye. There you go. Hang on. Absolutely brilliant to experience Night Owls this way, especially when you get to see the personalities behind the voice. I could definitely get used to this. Shellelly. Shillelagh. And our next caller is in Thirsk. Andrew, hope he's not a jockey. And somebody's laughing. Thank you. Hello, Andrew in Thirsk. Where are you? There he is.
Hello there.
Oh, you didn't need to put a tie on just for me.
I wanted to look smart.
You know what that is? What's
What's
gone?
that?
Right, so we just had a whole load of feedback there, but good to talk to you. Oh, we've got two of you now. Right, what can we do for you, Andrew? No, we're trying to sort out the sound, I think, there. Is that...
Are you there?
Yeah, but it's feeding back down the line. Do you have the sound turned up on your... so that you can hear me? You have it turned up really high, because it might pay to turn it down just a little bit lower.
I think I'll tell you what I...
Yeah, I think let's see if we can actually do that. That'd be a good idea. And we can sort out...
Bring me back.
Right, we got Buddy in Cincinnati. Hello, Buddy. Where's the... There he is.
Hey.
How you doing, Buddy?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Great to see you on here. That's fantastic. Hey.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, Ohio. We'll talk politics soon because that's what we do. But first of all, the lockdown in America seems to... different states do it in different kind of ways. How's Ohio dealt with it?
There's a lot of Trumpers here. And I've noticed when I go to the store that they're not wearing any face mask and they're not using any hand sanitizer. They're not doing anything that makes any sense. So I guess they're the ones that are going to be our next Darwinian contest winners.
But the bottom line with it is Ohio suffering badly, or is it one of those states that's doing pretty much suffering? Is it?
We've got a significant number of cases here, and we've had quite a few deaths. And we're comparable to a bigger city than what we are, especially where I live, But
you work in the world of medicine, and just to explain to people who are seeing you for the first time, we've heard you a lot if you've listened to any of the shows that we do. It's great to see you. I just want to go back a long way, really, because one of the first things that you did to kind of hook up with us was you used to watch Scariest Places on Earth, and you dug the show, which was great. And Anne-Marie's saying, "Hey, buddy," you see, everybody's looking at you.
Anne-Marie, how you doing?
All good, all good. But you did your own ghost hunt in your Wheels of Steel, and you went on the Queen Elizabeth, wasn't it?
Queen Mary.
Queen Mary, beg your pardon. That's right. So what did you experience there that was so incredible?
It was so
kind of fed that, you know.
It was so crazy, Alan, that there were a few times when I had to step off the ship and out into the city a little bit just to get away from it, because I mean, you could see things in broad daylight. Things were happening in broad daylight for everyone to see.
Right.
Sherry and I were coming down the promenade deck, and this man walked past us and tipped his hat at Sherry and asked me if I was enjoying the cruise. And we thought he was there for atmosphere, And he walked through about 2 or 3 people, right in front of us and in front of a bunch of other people.
Wow, amazing.
It was crazy.
I just remember you calling in, and it was like, "Alan, I've been on my first mission, and here's my story." It was tremendous. Sarah has just said, "It's amazing to see Buddy after so many years." There you go. You see, "Hey, Buddy, great to see you," says Carol too. Excellent.
Bless all your hearts.
Now, again, I'm taking Bodie back as well. Bodie, you used to be a cab driver.
Yes, I did.
And you had a horrific accident. And I mean, when we say horrific accident, you could so easily have been killed. You were tipped and tumbled. Tell everybody what exactly happened.
Well, I, one minute I'm going down the road, and the next minute I'm on top. The road's on top of me. And, it broke my neck and it broke my back. And I woke up in the hospital. and I was trussed up like a turkey. I was on something called a striker frame, and I couldn't move anything. I couldn't move my hands. I couldn't do anything, and they had a breathing tube in my mouth. And the doctor came to me, and he had to crawl under the bed where I was laying, because at that point I was face down. And he said, "We're doing surgery on you tomorrow. You're paralyzed from the neck down. I'm going to try to get your hands and arms back, but I don't think I can do the rest." And I just thought to myself, you go for it, big guy.
Wow.
So the next morning they took me into surgery, and I was, when I came out, I was on my back. And I remember in my sleepy state, I reached up and touched my face. I scratched my face like this.
Yeah.
And the doctor was there, and he laughed. And I opened my eyes, and I said, "What?" I croaked out, "What?" And he said, "You just scratched your face."
Yeah. So they worked. So your arms were back, and that was so. Yeah. But the thing is, what you did, I think, is one of the most courageous things that anybody, in my experience, has done, because it would have been so easy for you, and I'm sure you had your time where you were thinking, "Why me? I've got my whole life ahead of me," and I bet you went through a lot of darkness there. But instead of reflecting on all of that, like many people do, and they've gone forever, what you ended up doing was, well, stuff it. Now I'm going to learn how to become a senior nurse. You became a senior nurse. You ran your own clinics, and on Night Owls, of course, you offered health info for anybody that wanted it for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Anne-Marie Harrison's asking you a question. Bodie, you have a medical background. Yes, I'm just picturing you in your wheels of steel having to deal with people who, frankly, in most cases, weren't as ill as you, and yet you were looking after them. It's fantastic. Anyway, you got a medical background. What do you think of Dr. Trump's advice? Oh, dear.
I think they better put a muzzle on him before he kills someone.
It's just, surely if somebody, and I'm sure some redneck in the woods of Missouri has injected some domestos or some disinfectant into their veins, like he was suggesting, how come he hasn't been sued?
Because he is untouchable, he thinks. He actually thinks he's untouchable, but he's not.
Right.
There is a growing number of his own people in Washington that are getting ready to spring the 25th Amendment on him. And if that happens, they're going to take him out, and they'll put Pence in his place. I'm not saying Pence is any rose garden, but I don't think he's anywhere near as bad as Trump.
Right. Hang on, Stephen Rogers. Much love, Brody. T12. Brody, it's just a Brody with a miss the R out and you're pretty close. T12 para myself after a work accident. Never give up, and it's amazing what we can do if we put all of our heart into it. Respect from another, and life goes on. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said, Stephen.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you something. You got a choice in life. And I'm quoting some movie somewhere. I think it was The Shawshank Redemption. But you got to, in your lifetime, you got to get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's just all there is to it.
You are one cool dude. You are one cool dude. And Julia Els says, lovely to see Bodie. There you go. Nice to see you too. Ben Mabon is there. So, hey, you've got your fan club out. Now, at the beginning of the show, I was reading a little bit of the news like we do, and telling everybody, Bodie for Ohio governor, says William Travis.
Yeah.
Well, hang on, there was a Travis at the Alamo. So you're in good company there, Bodie. But we were saying that if the press are saying, should I say, in America, that if Barack Obama stood for a third term, he would wipe Trump out. He can't, though, can he?
I don't know. I really don't think he can. But I know that Michelle can run. And if she ran, it'd be curtains for Trump.
Why doesn't she, though? Have people been pushing? Because we keep hearing celebrities. And again, we had the young lady on before talking about how she's sick to death of celebrities. And I think having Boris and Donald Trump as your celebrity politician is, well, it kind of exactly what she mean. But why doesn't she run? Because we also had Oprah Winfrey saying she was going to do something as well. Do we want these people?
I'll tell you, we would be doing ourselves a big favor if we took Barack Obama's wife, because she's brilliant and intelligent, and she'd make a wonderful president. But she sat and watched her husband put up with 8 years of abuse. And, you know, she put up with 8 years of them saying she was secretly a man, and that, you know, she had a sex change operation, and her husband was gay, and she was, I mean, it said the most horrible things about her ever. I got to meet her. I was lucky enough to meet Michelle Obama.
You met Barack as well, didn't you?
Yeah. He shook my hand and thanked me for working for his campaign, because he said it's amazing that here you are, you know, in your wheelchair, and you're out there, you know, flogging the boards for me. And I said, look, I could only do that because I just look up to you so much, and you know, but he was very very nice. And I also told him, look, I hope you don't take offense at this, but I got a little bit of a thing for your wife.
As long as you didn't shore it, Bodie, that's the thing. As long as you didn't shore it. Right. A lot of people saying so good to put a face to the voice, and sending a lot of love. Bodie for president says freedom, disco, sound and lightning. There you go. Another company that's probably not doing a whole heap of work at the present moment. So, Bodie, just to kind of round off, the picture that we're getting is that you've still got your Trumpers. You mentioned that your state's particularly full of Trumpers, it seems.
Yeah.
With all of the rubbish that we hear him saying and doing and all of that, how do these people steal the guy? I don't get it.
Well, they're just it's a religion now, Alan. You were talking about religion earlier, and it's hard to disabuse somebody of a belief that's not based on fact. If you spend all kinds of time worshiping something that's not fact based, and then you suddenly realize that it's all ridiculous, then something called cognitive dissonance takes over. And that's the uncomfortable feeling of knowing you're wrong, but being unable to say so for embarrassment's sake.
Right.
These people know they look foolish for, you know, sticking by Trump, but it's too late now. They've devoted all this time and energy to it, and they're just defending him even though they don't want to. And a good 30% of them will go to the polls and vote against him because they don't want to be ostracized by their people or any number of other reasons. They'll secretly, you know, cast their ballot against him. I'm sure
it's interesting because just finally again, the thing that I noticed, and you will probably know this well enough, in America there is a tradition of roasting people. The roast of Justin Bieber, the roast of, it used to be Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Bob Hope, Bing Crosby, all of the, John Wayne even has been roasted. So you get all the comics up and they all have a pop. Well, there was a roast for Donald Trump. And I don't know whether you've seen this, but in that roasting, he talks about women in the grossest of terms, you know, and I watched that and my chin hit my chest. I'm thinking, because at the time I watched it, he was up for president, but he wasn't president. And I'm thinking, well, they're going to show this on American TV, and he's good. Nobody's going to vote for the guy.
Yeah.
And then he gets in. I mean, do people want? Essentially, he's just a mad sexist, isn't he? He's not interested in women whatsoever, other than sexually.
Not to put too fine a point on it, all he did was show my country the sheer number of idiots and racists that are here, and you know, flushed them out. It's like turning a light on a bug-filled apartment, and you just, you know, there they are. But the thing about turning the light on is they scatter. So if you get somebody decent in there, I think we're going to see a great reduction in the number of pinheads.
Just you know yourself, Bodie, if you were in mixed company and somebody said about their daughter, she's got a nice ass, if only she wasn't my daughter, your view on that individual would be what a sickening sod that was.
Yeah,
and yet he says it on national television and everybody chuckles. What's that about?
There's nothing funny about it, I promise you.
No, not
He's
at
a
all.
sick man. And I wouldn't doubt it if his daughter has been molested by him.
We can't say that. That's an allegation. Allegation too far, Bodie. But thank you very much for coming on. Great to see you at last.
I love you, man. I love everybody, and I'm so glad that we got to talk like this. And I hope we can do it again.
I hope so too. Love to you, Bodie. Bless you, man. Thanks
Hang
for all
in there,
you've done
buddy.
over the years. We really appreciate it. Thank you. What a guy. What an absolute guy. You notice this? Giles was riveted. There you go. And that's nobody's come back on. I brought this thing on purpose. I was going to show you my cockerel. But that's another thing altogether. He'll have to wait. But with respect, cuddly toys and crazy things, nobody's bothered to come on. That's fine. Talk about what you want to talk about. It's always the case. It's the funniest thing. For most of my life, I spent the beginning of every show giving you 1,000 things to talk about, and you guys always come on and talk about all the things that you want to talk about. That's fine. Let's move on and see what Chris from Walkergate's on about. Yes, Chris. Hey.
Hello, Alan. How are you tonight?
I'm good. I haven't seen you yet. Oh, there he is. Hello, mate. Good to see you. What are you talking about tonight, you tattooed human being?
Oh, I don't know. That's a compliment, but I mean in another way.
No, it is. You got a nice sleeve there, I'm seeing.
No, it's just the I don't get to see news. I'm working all the time. So update me on the coronavirus lockdown situation. What is it at the minute?
What is it at the minute? Well, they're trying to gently ease it, is kind of where they're at. The government's saying to people, we don't want you to mix too closely together. Family groups, you can have about 6 together now. People can go back to work. They're hinting that you can go back to school, but then the teachers are saying, well, we don't particularly want to yet. That's how I think we got a bad connection from Chris. I can see you. He's staring at me. He hasn't moved for a while. I think it might be stuck. No, we'll try and get back. We'll try and get back to you, Chris. Nice to see you anyway, however briefly it was. Always fancy the sleeve. Always kind of bottled out of it. Stacey from Waka. Hello, Stacey. I'm guessing she's there somewhere. Where is she? She's in the dark. Oh, there she. That's not Stacey. I hope it's not Stacey. It's Davy the man. Davy, are you all right?
Right, champion on.
Now, hang on. I was told literally 5 minutes before I went on air that you've been in hospital. What's that all about?
I've got brain trauma and that, and like head trauma. I fell out of the banister, 40-foot down onto my head at the bottom of the stairs. So,
I mean, have they operated on you? Then have you?
Says I can't. No, I've across the top of my head. That's why I've got this hat on. I've got a right good cut on the top of my head.
Oh, blimey, do you do too? So, I mean, did they get everything? Did they, if it was a tumor and stuff or whatever, did they get everything out that they needed to?
No, it just says I can't believe you're still alive. Like if you've been very, very, very lucky. You know what I mean? And but like,
scary.
The hospital was the last place I want to go at this time of year.
No, I'm sure.
What's going on? I thought I walked in the hospital. Like, where I didn't walk into the hospital, I got wheeled into the hospital with my head in a brace, and and it was just like I was like, what the hell? I was the only one without a mask on. I thought, oh no, didn't want to be here.
Right.
But every time, it's just when I got to bed, when you move from one side to the other, or try to get out of bed, I'm all over the room. The room's spinning like out, so I've got major concussion in there. They just said to take it easy, you know.
You don't know how to take it easy though. I've been out with you on a milk round, and you're 100 mile an hour, man. So how are they tying you to the bed, or how they keeping you in one place?
I'm trying to tie myself to the bed.
Right.
No good, Alan.
No, not at all.
Oh, it's a nightmare, but I'll get there, man. I'll get there. Anyway, not about me. The NHS was fantastic when I got there.
Yeah,
I just thought they were brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Anything they've done wrong, right? The top of my head was flapping every time I had a pulse, right?
Right.
Like with a split. And there must have been a young lass on. God bless her. She says, we just gotta glue your head. So she glued my head and then put the bandage straight on. And so like 3 days later, I phoned the hospital. I says, how do I get this bandage off? She says, what do you mean? I says, we glued my head and stuck a bandage on, and she says, did you not wait for it to set? I go, no. So it took us a day and a half, you know, to prize the bandage off the top of me.
Oh, it could only happen to you, Davey. Bless you. What a bloke.
No.
Unbelievable.
He's good.
So,
But,
I mean, what's that? No, go on. No, go for it.
No. Another thing, Harvey's still working at B&Q.
Right.
Do you know how everybody's house is going to be immaculate? Because the queues will be queued at 10 o'clock in the morning before it even opens. This is unbelievable. You see, everybody's in the house painting and decorating and doing the varnishing the fences and everything.
Andrew Smith just said, I've got the subtitles on the bottom of my screen and Davey's accent has confused the life out of my television. Hilarious. I can believe that. I know we're worried about you, Davey, though. Hey, stay well, mate.
No. Been doing all right, mate. I've been doing all right. Ashley's back to work. Nurseries is open and all that. She's looking after the key workers' children and stuff.
Lovely.
So,
well, give me love. Hey, great to see you. And hey, stay well. And how did you fall off the damn thing in the first place?
Right, because I was looking to see if there was any meal. And I just slipped and went over the balcony. What an idiot.
Dave, yeah, one in a million, mate.
If I had this hat on, Alan, I would have been all right.
You'd have floated down, absolutely like a parachute. Hey, all the best, Davey. Love the family. Thanks for coming on, man.
Take care. Love you, Alan.
Stay well. Love you too. Take it easy. Bye-bye. Now, Andrew, I think, is back, and hopefully with a better line this time. Let's give him a go. There he is. Hello, mate.
Can you hear me all right?
Oh, loud, clear, and gorgeous. What you got for me, Andrew?
I thought all the technology had gone wrong when I came on. Ever since I came on, I've been seeing people upside down, and Davey was on his side. I don't know why.
Well, we're back anyway, and hopefully the right way up for you. So, what do you want to talk about then, Andrew?
Well, I first started listening to radio talkings about in 1997 when my first wife left me because I couldn't sleep on a night. so I bought myself a CD clock radio, and I was fumbling through things on it, and I came across Mike Elliott.
All right.
And I started listening to Mike the Mouth on the radio. And I listened to him for years and years and years. I never phoned him up,
Right.
but I listened to him, and it was very amusing, really good to listen to. And I didn't know where he disappeared, and then I was looking it up on the computer the other day, actually, and I was sad to see that he died of
He's passed.
I can't even say the word, but esophageal cancer.
Yeah.
Cancer of the throat.
Yeah.
And he died in December of 2014. You would know that, I presume.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mike
it was
used to work out. He used to work out the same building that I was in. The only difference was when I went to the studio, I was taking maybe a bottle of milk to have for a drink. He would be carrying a carrier bag in with something a little bit more substance. No, he was a nice bloke, Mike Elliott. He was solid. Everybody thought that we were supposed to be at odds with each other, but it was never an issue. There's room for everybody.
Of course there is. And then years after that, I was fumbling through the radio, and I came across you.
Hurrah!
And I've actually listened to you for years now.
Good man, thank you.
Never phoned you until, do you remember I phoned you not Sunday gone, Sunday before?
Before, yeah.
You remember I was talking to you then. Yeah. And then when you were on every night, I was going to sleep listening to you on the radio. Like you put everybody to sleep.
But I'm trying to keep you awake and say, at least play art.
And then when you lost that, we lost you through the week. You came back on the Greatest Hits radio, but on my radio it was very bad reception for some reason.
Right.
And then I found you on Facebook,
right.
And so I started listening to you on the Facebook because it was good reception. Good. So I've listened to you on that like ever since.
Champion.
I was just we'll talk a little bit, then can I sing a little song at the end?
Absolutely.
A little song for you then. Last week, when we were talking quite a lot about the COVID-19 and how it was going on. And I was just wondering how the general public would have coped with this before even television, never mind the internet and Facebook, when people were sat at home in the olden days, making clippy rugs and making samplers. How would they have coped with this COVID-19?
Yeah. Now, you see, let me throw two things at you. First of all, if everything is as we've been described by government, I think it would have hit like the old plagues used to hit a population. It would just sweep through and be gone and probably leave a lot more dead than has happened here. But I still think there's an awful lot we haven't been told about this damn thing, because I think they know exactly where it's from. And we keep getting told different stories on different days, depending on who you listen to. And I just wish that we would get an ounce more truth out of it. But on saying that, if you're going back to Clippy Matt days, and when people were gathered around the radio to listen to their family favourites on a Saturday and all that kind of thing, I think do you remember it was round about the 1950s when Orson Welles did that thing about War of the Worlds, and he went on radio and he made it sound like it was really happening, and everybody panicked across America. They were running out on the streets, they were packing their cars and driving away. It could have been something similar to that, maybe. Who knows?
Well, it could. Like say, in them days, there was a lot of bad diseases. My mother was married twice, so. But before that, my brother-in-law, not brother-in-law, my stepbrother, his brother died of diphtheria.
Right.
And my brother that's still alive was lucky to survive diphtheria.
Right.
Because there was some nasty diseases around.
Absolutely, and of course fewer cures and fewer doctors looking for such things too. Absolutely.
But the thing now, we've got so much now to keep us occupied. We've got Facebook. We've got, you can Google anything. You can find anything out. You've got eBay. You've got buying and sell sites. You're never bored with the internet. And now we're very lucky that we've got all that lot to keep us occupied. Because I mean, on Facebook, you get all the news. It doesn't matter where the hell you live. You get all the news of what's going on, don't you?
Absolutely.
It keeps you going.
Yeah.
I tell you what, when I was listening to you, I used to always laugh when Gene came along. I could not.
We would love.
I couldn't
we would
understand
love to.
a word she said.
No. Well, you see, this is people say, why do you always have a go at Gene? Now, I love Gene. He loves me back, but Gene, I have too catching whatever she said. Instead, I mishear everything that what I mishear, and she plays hell with me. Be roughly where it good to it. I'd love her on this thing too. Absolutely. So, you've got a song to sing.
I couldn't understand.
You got to do a song for us. No, well, that's but you still enjoyed her. That's the thing. That's the main thing. So, what are you going to sing for us then?
Just a little short song. Hang on.
Okay.
Till I get to it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this is dedicated to my wife. Are you listening? Home is where you're happy, and I'm happy here with you. Or any place on earth that you may be. Home is where you're happy, just any house will do. And I'll feel at home as long as you're with me. This room could not hold me for one short minute. If you weren't here with me, I'd soon be gone. That chair is just a chair when you're not in it. It takes more than rooms and chairs to make a home. Time someday may cause this house to crumble, but we'll move into another, love and all. And if time someday should make your footsteps stumble, I'll be there to catch you should you fall. I won't bother with the choruses.
It's lovely. That was just a lovely bit of work. Thank you, Andrew. All the best, mate.
All right, bye now.
Love to thirst. Bye-bye. Now, I've got to, we had the guys on before, Tony and Chris, and stick Chris on if Chris is still there. I think he's still with us in the background. Stick Chris on just briefly. Hi, Chris. Now, because you showed me yours, I'm going to show you two of mine, if you pardon the expression. We also have an interview with a guy that we recorded earlier on this afternoon as well, which we'd love to share with you about UFOs and COVID and a lot of other things besides. You did a story about a delivery guy and how people were pranking them. We played those clips earlier. I've got one. I don't know whether you've seen it. Tony, let's have this. Now, this is a guy who says he's had obviously a minging day and he wants to cheer up his wife, so he goes for a McDonald's. Brilliant.
Do it later.
And it's the words he says when he gets it as well. It's over. It's finished. He's had enough. And I think
for that.
We've all been there, though, haven't we? When everything's right, I'm doing a oh hell, Steve, I've just ruined it. Incidentally, a lot of people have been ringing in about the ghost stuff as well, asking where can we see it. robsonsworld.com, go there. There's also the Grizzly Tales podcast. We'd love you to share with that. I also want to share you my second one. What is the best advert you've ever seen, Chris, in your life? Best ever.
Oh, there's a question.
I used to like the skating pandas. If you remember, the guy sets his camera up and nothing happens. He goes to eat a Kit Kat, and then the panda comes out ice skating. I thought that was pretty good, but I've got a better one.
Peter K. John Smith's. I've just thought that was a good one.
That's a very good one. I think this is the best.
Not expecting that. I'm thinking, what's advertising? Is it a car advert? That's me.
Isn't that brilliant? Haynes Beach, not for astronauts. I don't know. I think it's an American one. I've never heard of Haynes Beans, but I think they deserve to be tried on the back of that. I just thought that's one of the best adverts I've seen in a long time.
You're not wrong. That's brilliant.
Just good luck. Anyway, just thought you showed me yours. I've showed you mine. Night Owls, don't forget, if you've got any kind of cool clip that you think we got to see this, get it to us. We'll stack them up, we'll rack them, and we'll get them out there. I think the one thing we should do now is go back and play you what happened a little bit earlier. Now, a lot there's been stuff out about COVID and a lot about aliens and all of that. So I thought we'll go and speak to the man who knows. We did this a little bit earlier, so we're cheating a bit. Okay, here we go. Go on in. Any minute now. It's coming. We think it's coming. Tony's there trying to find it, and once he's found it, he'll then play it. But until then, I'm going to awkwardly fill. But it's an interesting thing. It's worth having a listen to. And after that, I'm going to give you an opportunity to have a chat. And I know Stacey from Walker is about somewhere, but I'm still optimistic. Although, yes, here we go. If anybody has a question about anything extraterrestrial, this is your guy. It's Richard Lawrence. Hello, Richard.
Alan, a real pleasure to see you at last. Yeah, we've spoken so many times, but not seen each other. Yeah.
Yes, the true horror has now been unfolded. Hey, but first
likewise,
of all, thank you for talking to me about such things. We're going to look at some clips a little bit later on, but a lot of people are saying that the conspiracy theorists have been out in force about obviously COVID and the whole lockdown situation. A lot of people saying it could be international chemical warfare. Other people have said, because there seems to have been an increase in UFO activity, that it could be something brought to the planet because they've been with us a while, but they're not very happy with how we're getting on. What do you say to that, mate?
Well, in terms of the second question, I mean, that really is bad, is poor, isn't it? I mean, if let's start with this. These intelligences, if they wish to do us harm, they could have done it a long, long time ago. They wouldn't need COVID. They'd have no opposition at all of any note from any of our armies, air forces. It would be very easy for them to do. They're obviously peaceful.
Right. Now, on saying that, every now and then you get a story of somebody getting taken up or abducted, and let's face it, about every third American you ever met has been abducted. Do you go along with the abductive stories or not?
I don't rule anything out, but what I would say, because I think I do a lot of psychic research as well and practice, and it's a phenomenon that people mix up, I think, with out-of-body experiences, with sleep state experiences, and because you have a horrific experience which you find difficult, or sometimes people say it's wonderful, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's alien intelligences. Right. Even if they seem to you to look like alien intelligences, there's all sorts of possibilities when you enter that area of sort of out-of-body experiences and lost time and these sorts of things. But I would never rule it out. But what I would say is that these intelligences won't come here and won't harm any individual.
Right. We've heard many a story from, I mean, if you go back far enough, you'll know yourself that in many medieval paintings, in the background, you'll see what is in effect a spacecraft in the top of the painting. And it's a common thing. And a lot of people have said, well, why have they put that there? Well, I presume they put that there because when they were doing the painting, it was there. I can't see any other reason why they would do such a thing. But to go back over such a long period of time, there's so many stories of them, the extraterrestrials watching us and trying to learn what we're all about. The big question always has been, though, we're here. We're hungry, even if they just came to see you and I, Richard. Why haven't they?
Well, there's a lot you said there. And of course, you're right about the medieval paintings. And many of them were, of course, religious paintings. In those days, the majority were, I believe. And the Bible, of course, is absolutely jam-packed full of UFOs, extraterrestrial encounters. And of course, the Star of Bethlehem was a spacecraft. It wasn't a star. You don't get a star hovering over a stable, but they didn't have that kind of lingo. I mean, Galileo couldn't even get it through in the sort of Middle Ages. He couldn't even talk about the Earth revolving around the sun and so on. Never mind earlier days. So they had no comprehension really of what a star was. They were just describing objects moving in the sky, and they were witnessed in the Old Testament and the New. And then you can go to the Hindu scripts and so on. But coming to your question of why don't they make contact, they have made contact to certain individuals through history. They have a plan. It's a subtle plan. It's a long-term plan. I think one of the things we have to get away from is the view that we know what they would do, because you hear people saying things like, if they existed, they would land openly, they would prove themselves, they'd take over the radio stations, starting with night owls, and then they take over all sorts of things. But that's what we think they would do. That's a terrestrial person saying what extraterrestrials would do. By definition, they have an alien psychology, and that's not what they do. We have to look at what they actually do, which is to be seen, to be sighted. There have been certain individual encounters. I think the most remarkable of modern times was Dr. George King, who I knew very, very well, who founded the Etheria Society. I suggest people investigate him, because no point going to governments. They've thrown in the towel. They've given up. So you need to come to people who claim contacts. Now, not every person who claims contact is genuine, and doesn't mean they're lying. They might believe it's genuine. You have to, I'm afraid it's a discrimination tile. You have to sort it out. I've had the opportunity to look at the claims of Dr. King, which are unprecedented. It's the oldest international UFO contact organization in the world, and it's been going consistently, and there's 43 years of contact. There really is nothing to compare with it. But I don't expect you to believe me. Investigate it, judge it, and you do that with others as well. He's not saying there's no one else who's been contacted, but I'm afraid there are people out there who are deluded, I have to use that word, and there are people out there who are deliberately falsifying it. They think it might be a profitable thing, and they'll find out that it isn't.
No, for sure. Thank you for that.
There's not a lot to be made out of this.
The other thing, though, that I would like to get into is that I just hope that any of these extraterrestrials that are amongst us don't see any of our movies about aliens, because we haven't given them any kind of good press since the 50s, really, have we?
It's absolutely pathetic, really. I'm sorry to have to say that. The governments are pathetic. I mean, we know they've lied for a long time, and now this year they seem to have given up, Britain and America anyway. The president of America is even musing about whether they're real, as though he obviously doesn't know, if we can believe that. And then the public, I'm afraid, of course, one of the greatest weapons of those people who want to cover up UFOs is apathy. They're relying on apathy. And of course, the information that's come out of governments has been carefully timed, I believe. It's come out in the middle of the COVID crisis in the hopes it won't get noticed. It won't pass the purview of night owls, but lots of journalists haven't discovered it. And that's the intention, I'm quite sure. But it does rely on people taking an interest. This is a very, very significant, important matter, because every step we take towards them, they will take two towards us. That's been proved to me over and over again.
Right. Okay. Let's take a look at something that the world was party to. And not so very long ago, we saw some footage. A lot of TV news people told us what they thought it was. I'd much prefer you to tell us what it actually is. Tony, if you could play that clip for us, I'd like it.
Yeah. On, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the SA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. I do have an LNS, dude. Well, if there's look at that thing. It's rotating.
Now, Tony, if you could just stop it there if you don't mind. Richard, talk us through that first clip if you could, because here's something traveling at great speed against the wind and able to rotate. Now, we don't have any planes that can do that.
No, and that's been admitted now, which is a good thing. It comes out of the US Navy. There are 3 clips, and I think the first one is the earliest one, but there are 3, so which order they're in, I'm not 100% sure. But the first one was filmed in 2004, and the second 2 were filmed in 2015. The first one's been sort of in the domain of the public since about 2007, and I believe the other 2 came into the domain about 2017, and people have talked about them. They're often known as the tic-tac UFOs because they're sort of oblong shapes. Used to be in the old days, they used to be called cigar shaped. You've had all these flying saucers, which you don't hear much now, which is the disc shape. But the important thing is these were sighted by fighter pilots, and the first one, the fighter pilot, is absolutely adamant they're not of this world. They have flight capacities, abilities to maneuver, increase speed, way above anything in the American or any other inventory. And in fact, there's a man called Elizondo who was working in the Pentagon for some time, I think up till about 2012, I believe, and leading an investigation into UFOs within the Pentagon, who said that this is just one. I mean, there's better evidence than this, he said, but there's no doubt whatsoever that these are extraterrestrial. These craft that are visiting us are extraterrestrial. Because one of the excuses the Pentagon used to come up with, well, all these things you're seeing, the reason we lied about them is because they're really ours. Well, they've dropped that now. They know they aren't. And what they've really done is put them out in the domain. They've admitted it, and I'll give them the due credit for that this month, and said, well, here they are. Yes, they are genuine US Navy footage. We don't know what they are. And the British government's doing a similar thing. So we really don't know. We have no opinions. We're not interested. It's not our field. And they basically left the field. So you now have to really turn to people like the Aetherius Society if you want the answers.
Right, great. Now, if you could bring that second one in, because the second one is a speedy little rascal, and they even have difficulty registering it. They see it, then they've got to catch it.
Oh, got it! Woohoo! Roger. They're troubleshooting. Did you box moving target? No, I took an auto charge. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, dude! Wow!
Keep playing it, Tony. Let's see this one too. And our thanks to the Daily Telegraph for these pictures as well. They're the ones that put them out there that we could use. And there's a close-up of whatever this thing is. We believe an extraterrestrial craft. So, Richard, looking at these, it just begs belief that people haven't sussed it, because there's still people going, it's just fiction. It's just people making up stories and such. And yet there's a bottomless pit of information from 4,000 years before the birth of Christ, right the way up to the present day. And it's frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't want to be rude, but I don't find it highly intelligent to say they don't exist or to dismiss it out of hand when you haven't investigated it. Those are the people who said to Galileo, no, the sun revolves around us. And that's what happened to the man. He had to recant. And you've got it today. And as I say, it's not highly intelligent. If a person says, look, I don't really know, which I think, to be fair, is the most, according to opinion polls, the current view. I think most people believe in aliens now, and most people believe in invisible life now, including scientists, which they didn't used to. I mean, when Dr. King started, he went into the public in 1955, in January, in a very conservative Britain, just after the war, and spoke not only about UFOs, but invisibility, their ability to disappear, reappear, move through different levels, and for aliens to live in non-physical bodies. So now that's fully accepted. It's in the remit of astrophysics and theoretical physics. The world has changed immensely, but for people to dismiss it out of hand, I think we have to say it's foolish.
Yeah, the one way that I've tried to explain this to people, and I'm sure you've had many chat in a pub or a club or over dinner somewhere where somebody's gone, Richard, come on, you're a sensible fella. And they'll give you whatever they believe. And you feel that slippery slope of having hell's bells. The next 45 minutes is going to be this tennis match. But with respect to the whole aliens being amongst us, but where are they? Why can't we see them and all of the rest of it? If you think that in the room where you are, in the room where I am, we've got 5,000 radio signals, 1,000 telephone signals, televisual signals, satellite signals, and they're all in a different wavelength somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's what life is really like, yet we're just on one of them.
We're a tiny, tiny fraction of the light spectrum. You know, the visible light spectrum is minuscule compared to the invisible light spectrum. And then when you look at mass, I think it's generally agreed by NASA that it's now 4 or 5% of the universe is actually visible, is actually detectable by us anyway, not necessarily by the alien intelligences. And, this is, I suppose, progress. In fact, I saw a NASA website not so long ago, and they were theorizing about it being the mystical fifth element of ancient Greece, which, by the way, is AETHER. It's the ether after which we're named back in the 1955. So they're moving in our direction, I would say, and this is a good thing. I think it's fine to say I don't know. I haven't investigated it. I've got an open mind, but I do think it's an important matter because these intelligences can save our world, and I believe they are in some respects. But they work in a very subtle way. They don't force everybody to change. They don't want to rob us of our greatest thing, which is experience, by taking away our free will. So they're working in a very subtle manner, but I would say extremely, even today as I'm talking to you, actually, there's a disaster in India and Bangladesh. You may have come across it. And in the Aetherius Society, we're working directly and were yesterday too, not just in this country, but in America and in New Zealand, in sending energy in cooperation with beings from other planets to try and help in that situation. And we're doing this all the time. It's a matter of, helping save the world, not a matter of sort of an intellectual discussion about the pros and cons of one sighting. I mean, that footage you actually showed has, before the US Navy admitted it, there were plenty of people out there debunking it and saying, oh, this isn't real footage. It doesn't come from the US Navy. Well, it does.
No, absolutely. I'm just thinking, though, Richard, because you've done exceedingly well in a field, the psychic field especially, where we're talking, I'm not going to bring ghosts into it, but it's all kind of part of a similar parcel. Yeah. But this whole idea that we can, how best can I describe it? For years, our grandparents have said the power of positive thought, the power of prayer, the power of focusing your mind. And a lot of people say, well, I focused my mind a lot, but nothing still happened. But we're not doing it right, and there's ways you can learn it, and that's precisely what you've been doing with India.
Yes, that, and also working with beings from other worlds, because the Aetherius Society isn't just about our beliefs and our teachings. It's direct cooperation. And in fact, throughout a long period through this COVID, we've been doing an online service every single day of sending energy, positive energy out, and people can join in. Hundreds of people a day are joining in with this. And I believe it's making a massive difference. I mean, things are not sorted, but they are better than they were 4 weeks ago. Let's put it in several countries at least. And this does make a difference, as well as the fantastic work people are doing on the ground, of course, the volunteers and all of that. All of that does make a massive difference. In terms of psychic things, as you mentioned there, it's very relevant, actually, to understanding extraterrestrial life, because our belief is, I often find people in this movement, they talk about distant constellations out there and Pleiades or whatever it might be. But actually, the most relevant solar system is the one we're in, to us. And there is life, we believe, and this is the main focus of the Aetherius Society, in this solar system. It doesn't mean we'd necessarily detect it, though, if we went to Mars, or even see it. In the same way, there is life, and this is something I have experience of. It's a much lower level than Dr. King's mediumship, but I've had many contacts, as have many others, actually. Maybe yourself, I don't know, but with people who've passed on. They're not physically alive, but they certainly still exist.
Sure, no question about it. Hey, well, Richard, thank you very much for that. What are you working on at the present moment? That people are going to, you in the middle of another book, or what are you doing?
Well, this book, which I'll show you, UFOs, the Extraterrestrial Message, has
just by chance, you're sitting on a pile of them.
It's not a coincidence, gosh, who put that there? But anyway, it's just come out in a new edition. UFOs and the Extraterrestrial Message.
Fantastic. Now, the thing is, a lot of people say, well, you've had Richard on the show before. Yeah, because if you really are as close to these aliens as you believe, and that you have proven over the years, I want to keep in with you, because if you're keeping in with them and I keep in with you, we're going to be in a good place.
Well, I'll tell you, I want to keep in with you, Alan. So that's a deal then. We're on a good footing there.
Absolutely. And hey, Richard, thank you so much for sharing some time.
Thank you for inviting me.
We get some calls about it now, I'm sure. Thank you very much.
Thank
you. There you go. Nice guy. And it's just a fascinating thing. I know not everybody's into the whole psychic side, but once you actually realize what he's talking about, it's another world. And it's around us all the time. And, I've had a tough time. I've been called every name under the sun about believing in ghosts. And then you take somebody, they see it for themselves, and they realize there's something more out there than we know. And, it's hard when we live in a world where politicians tell us what to believe. They create a scenario. They can make us frightened. They can make us proud. Clap for the nurses. We feel proud. You're going to die, COVID. And if you're old, ooh. It's a horrific and terrible time. And yet we've also got to try and put in amongst that the truths about spirit, the truths about alien intervention in our planet from years ago, from so far back. And it's in our writings, in every history, whether you're Muslim or Hindu, whether you're Chinese, whether you're South American, whether you're North American native Indian, or whether you're any of the ancient pagan tribes of Northern Europe, like the Celts. It's in everybody's history. But because we've been told by our teachers not to believe our own history, we have a fight to try and convince people. And I think over the years, I've done a decent job of kind of showing you those kind of things. But let's get as many people on as we can. Stacey from Waka. We tried to get her before. We've got her now. Here's our Stacey. Hopefully. Boop. There.
Hi, Alan.
Hello,
okay?
Stacey. Yes, I'm good, darling. How are you? And I know you've got to take your tablet and you want to have a shower and you've got to get to bed. So you haven't got long.
Just
what do you want to talk
last
about,
week. I don't know if you can remember about telling you about the leukemia. I had another appointment of the following Wednesday, and I had been on the I've only been on the tablets almost 3 weeks now, and I saw the professor on Wednesday.
Right.
And I had some good. I was only there for my bloods, and the professor says to us,
right.
"Can I have a word with you, Stacey?" and I automatically just panicked. I thought it was bad news all straight away. He took us into the consultation room and he says, like I had took my bloods prior to this, and he says, I've got your bloods back. He says, I'm pleased to tell you, he says, that your immune system is taken well to the tablets because he says,
that's great.
I've been a professor for over 20 years. He says, and your blood tests, he says, was 24, which means you were dangerously high. He says, but now he says they're only 16. He says, so in the space of 2 weeks, they've really done really well, and you've reacted really well to them. So normally there's 1 tablet for 7 days. So he's going to test it to see if I just take a tablet 3 days a week, and then have the week, the weekend off. You know, because I've been getting the really bad side effects. Like I'm only 30, but I feel like I'm 80.
Right, you're tired and worn. It's bound to fatigue you. Leukemia is a nasty damn thing, but with respect to turning it around in 3 weeks, that's amazing.
3 weeks, he says. But he says, Stacey, I know this is good news. He says, but don't assume that the leukemia is gone, because you'll always have leukemia. He says you'll always have to be on tablets, whether you take it every day or whether you take it once a week, once a month. He says you will always have leukemia. He says the factors of just managing it.
Right.
He says,
but you've started managing it already, which is tremendous. That must have been a real boost for you, though, because just hearing the word's scary, isn't it?
And he says this is positive. He says, I see the positive in this case. He says, but I also see the negative because it's hitting you really hard because of the side effects. Like, I don't usually sleep much. When I do sleep, I'm exhausted. My appetite's gone. I'm just eating whenever I can, what I can.
Sure.
And then sweating like I just need to stand up and I sweat constantly.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Headaches. I get a lot of headaches. Muscle pain, bone pain. Some days I can't get out of bed with it. No, it's so agonizing, the pain. But stuff like that, really.
But you're gonna have to come to terms with it, and if that's the way it's got to be. But if your bloods keep coming down the right way, hopefully the other symptoms will ease up a little bit too.
So I have to go for bloods every 2 weeks, and then to see the professor every 4 weeks.
Right. It's a clot, but if it has to be done, it has to be done, darling.
He's also extended me shielding as well till the end of June.
Right.
End of June, beginning of July. So unfortunately, I'm still stuck in the house.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's been held up by that. But hey, the news could have been so much worse. So hey, we've got to count our blessings. That's the thing. That's the thing. Hey,
so that's all I phoned up for.
Well, good lass. Get your tablets, get a shower, into bed. All right?
I need to. Right, thanks a lot. See you later.
Take care, love. Bye-bye. I know she's poorly, but she wanted to get on, which is super cool. Now, Chris says, I think it's great with the Night Owls on video. Well, frankly, so do I. Now, Tony's just told me, I don't know whether you noticed that along the bottom of the screen, a guy called Wayne came on to tell us that there's UFO from Brazil with massive groups of UFOs, and it's amazing. And we've dug it out. We've got it. It's here. Let's put it on, Tony, if we can. I know I've sprung that on.
That was real footage from the night of the incident. Let's go back to the beginning. What's the good word, YouTube? For those of you who are new, I use a robot voice because I had several strokes in 2019 that destroyed my speech. The robot allows me to continue doing what I love. So a few days ago in Brazil this happened.
צבע אדום בשדרות! כיפת ברזל מעליי! יירוטים! יירוטים! רמקולים בישיבה של הצבע האדום!
Here is the location in Brazil and what appears to be a metallic object. I am also going to add some discussions from Reddit in reference to the incident with UFO footage taken during the event. Some of the words may not come out right due to the transcribing, and I want you to hear word for word what was said. The UFO. Witnesses reported a bus-sized pan-lid-shaped object flying. Others saw a red light flying fast in the early hours of May 12, 2020. At least 4 helicopters were seen few moments later after the UFO flew over around Fregoso, Pau Grande, Raísta Serra. Google Maps link to the areas in Mage County.
Right, I think we've seen the juice of that, Tony. If you want to take that away, but thank you very much. So, wow, and don't forget, if you've got other stuff like that, we want to know. Anyway, let's move on to our next contributor, and it's Neil, who is in Wallsend. Hi, Neil.
Good evening, Alan. How are you doing? All right?
Oh, there you go. Looking well and feisty for this time of the morning. Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, apart from desperately needing a haircut, then...
But hey, we live there, don't we? Let's face it. That's we've just seen Tony. Tony, let's have a look at Tony's heat again, because the hair is actually growing in. Tony, can we just have a quick... There you are.
It's coming back.
He just... He just went right over
I'm starting to go the same, Tony. I'm just using fringe to hide it. So,
we're all the same. We're high, very highbrow.
Well, I cut my own, so just get a razor and do it yourself. Why not?
No, my wife is very tempted to kind of like take the razor to us at the moment, but I haven't got it yet.
Neil, trust me, having seen Tony after he first did that, he looked like he just had some kind of brain surgery. So wait till somebody else can do it for you. But what can we do for you anyway?
I wanted to talk to you about kind of the effect that the COVID-19's had on community radio lately, because we've seen an upsurge in people coming to radio. You probably have yourself.
Sure.
And ever since you moved off your format onto the new formats, right now, everybody's wanting to talk about the problems and to find out where they can get help from, and just basically kind of like make contact with a person more than anything else. So I think it's excellent that you can get this kind of format going, and more often as well, because you kind of led the charge with that when you were at Metro, as far as I was concerned. I mean, that's why kind of like, it's one of the reasons I got into radio, because I remember having a training course with Chris at Metro just to get used to it when I started helping and starting to kick off Nova Radio, because I managed to got to shake your hand on the very last Metro one.
I remember you well. Thank you for coming down. It was a special moment for me. So thank you for doing that.
I skipped work early just to make sure. I had to shake your hand, because I congratulate you for all the work that you've done. But I mean, some of the stations have actually managed to group together. We've got like a WhatsApp kind of communication about anything that we think is related, to have one voice rather than kind of like have lots of separate voices. So I mean, Jonathan Morell from Pride has been doing a 2-minute Corona update, which is basically a summary of all the various news kind of items and all the descriptions of what needs to be done. And all the community radio stations nearby have been putting that out consistently in amongst their kind of news feed. So I mean, this time has kind of like probably led to a lot more collaboration, whereas normally everybody's kind of in their own little elements with their own kind of audiences. But now they're really realizing, you know, we can only really survive as community radio stations if we club together now, because quite a lot of the funding's been hit. I mean, I know there's been movements to try and get some extra emergency grants put in at the government kind of level. I know the community radio kind of organization has got a pool that people have kind of like dipping into at the moment. So everybody's trying to do that. Nova's been hit quite badly with it, because we used to have income from DJs doing work, and a proportion of that would get given to the station. That's evaporated. I used to give the extra cash I earned on a weekend doing discos to the station as well, as just to keep things running. You know, run it out your back pocket when you've got a community radio station.
No, absolutely, that's fine.
The wife always gets something shiny when she knows I've bought a new mixing desk for the station. You know? it kind of works that way. But, I mean, what have you been doing to kind of keep yourself busy?
Writing, essentially. My wife and I have been putting together a traditional cookery book from all of the recipes from back in the day, the original old-fashioned people's recipes. So we've been doing some of that. I've been putting together another grizzly, hopefully working on a couple of televisual ideas that we would love to see through. The problem is that what happened was I went from 14-hour days to 1 day a week. And then what do? from them getting up in the morning till
all the ideas will still be there, and you've still got all the kind of like, all right, I want to do this for a show, and it's like, well, where am I going to squeeze it in? You've got to contract it down to the bare minimum, haven't you? So.
Well, and also you've got to deliver on that show what they want you to deliver on that show, which is why this is perhaps the birth of something. Who knows? We would love to think so.
And you've got hold of the wheel and you're steering it.
Well, that's the idea, because frankly, we could do a lot of things our way, and to hell with me. It's good not having a boss. You know what I mean? It's just good not having a boss. And I learned a lot by getting my arse kicked off radio. I really did. And well, not totally, but as well as. And I'm grateful to have a show a week, but I'm starving for the other 4 or 5 or 6 or 7. And
Don't
you know
say that.
yourself, you're in.
I already offered you a car parking space at the studio the last time I was broke on air.
But you know yourself that because of the nature of the business, if you're in it, you do it, and then you go back and you say, that was good. Oh, I wish I could do that better. But then you want to do it again the next day is the thing. And if you get an idea, you want to do something with it immediately. You don't want to say, well, we'll do that next week or the week or the fortnight. And the bottom line is I'm grateful for where I am, because it's essentially given me the push to do a lot of other things besides. And I don't think I've ever had as much time to think about what I want and think about where I'd like to be than I've had recently. So I'm grateful. I'm blessed.
I didn't offer you the opportunity to sit in one of the chairs at Nova any time that you want.
Well, bless you. Thank you.
I will know your presenter if I have to move them around. But I've got a couple of questions for you.
Go on then.
Right. So we've got a talk show that's just started.
Right.
And one of the guys that he's known as Mac 3 on some of the telecommunications things. He knows you as Flashing Blade.
Yes.
You probably know him as Junior Turner. Local singer. So
yeah, of course.
We've been friends for many years. My wife actually does some of the backing vocals on his songs.
Oh, great. So he's got a good voice.
That's how we originally met. Bit of a cheeky chappy. So we've been friends since then. We've done various kind of like events together, and he's wanted me to help because I'm good at pressing buttons and doing the technical kind of stuff. I mean, one good example of that is we recently did a Zoom radio show.
Right.
No, not just that. This was with people that were 70 plus. And they were all on Zoom. We had 6 of them. We had a program as well. And we had the music playing via it as well. It was called the Elder Voices. And they were on Anyone FM as it was years and years ago. And now it's like rebranded as Nova. I've maintained the contact with them, but they were finding it really difficult to do anything from home. They could send in pre-recorded stuff, but trying to get a pre-recorded show stitched together, get the balance right is a nightmare. So
it's just easier to do it when it's live, because you can wallop through it. If you've got a tape, it's. I
put the challenge to them. I said, kind of like, let's do a live show, and they were like, okay, because they have their meetings on how to organize the pattern of their show through Zoom. Right. And I've got all the gadgetry here to kind of like take any kind of recording and send it electronically to the station to be able to transmit. So it's kind of like, let's do that. So we've managed to do 2 shows so far, and the next one's going to be Friday the 6th of June, I think it is.
Right.
6th of June. So that's going to be a hair-tearing moment at that point. This will definitely have gone. So,
that's why you're keeping it in. Hey, no, but it's good to know that
with him having a talk show, what is some advice that you could give him if he's just starting out?
The weird thing is that, first of all, he'll have to develop his own style, and I'm sure he's got an idea about that. I think the only thing that I would suggest, and it's something that it's easy not to do, and it's listen. It's just listen, because the one thing that happens is you'll get somebody that just wants to talk, and you've actually got to sit back and let these people go. I mean, it's a story of a guy from Seaham, true story. His name was David. and he came on the show regularly, and he was called David the Poet. And he would come on and he'd do some poetry, and his poetry was horrific. And every time he came...
He was on the BBC once, was he, for an interview by any chance?
No, I don't think so. No. I don't think so. But this guy... I may have come across a similar poet. No, you may well, but he was certainly on my show. This is... Okay. I'm going back 20 years now. And this guy used to come on and he'd do these poems. And his idea of a poem was, if you use the same end word or something that rhymes with the same end word,
yes,
that's a poem. And you think, well, that is a poem. Well, not if your first line has 100 words and your second line has 4.
No, that's not a poem in my view.
That's not a poem. No.
I'm always used to having a rhythm.
Well, absolutely. Well, there's no rhythm to it at all. And he'd tell these poems, and it became the listener would listen because they wanted to guess what his rhyme was. and he would say, and then I was embarrassed, and then they'd go, harassed, in Paris. And everybody would try and kind of guess where he was going. But they kind of made him a laughing stock, yet I always built him up to be a hero, because he was a hero. He had the guts to come on and do his stuff, so that was good. But the thing about listening, and the point that I'm trying to get at is, one day he came on and he said, Alan, I just want to tell you about the time that I parachuted behind German lines during the bridge too far situation.
Wow.
And you kind of go,
that's a bombshell of a story, but that's a bad pun. So
this is a guy who has been lampooned by a lot of people, and people used to ring in saying, get him off and all this kind of stuff. Okay. But if you cannot put up with 3 or 4 minutes of what somebody's going to say, it's a poor show. However, he told me how hand-to-hand fighting, I had to stab my first person, I had to cut his throat, and my best friend was machine gunned in front of me. So he told this incredible story that I wouldn't have got if you just
stuck with him.
Listening, I do. Do you know what I mean? Because you give them a little bit of extra room, and the people never let down if you trust them enough to do it. That would be my advice. Mind you, on saying that, after he'd said it, literally the same sentence that he was talking about these events of incredible courage, he said, "Did I tell you about me hemorrhoids, Alan?"
Oh,
no. And I said, "No, you haven't mentioned that."
What on the scale when you want more information to the...
No, this was all right. And then he says, because I just went in the cupboard a couple of minutes ago, and I dropped me kegs, and I got the tube, and I squeezed it in my hand, and when I put it on my arse, it was tooth.
So if you come from a different part of the country, I mean, you won't be able to guess where I'm from originally, I don't think, because I don't think you'll hear the lilt of my voice. I'm actually originally from Wales. I moved up here to do university. And got married, got kids, had the divorce, and then got married again. So I've gone through the entire roller coaster of relationships, you know.
Yeah.
Not quite right the first time, and you make the effort the second time. So yes, but you find what you want when you got what you didn't want.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a balance. You live and learn kind of through it. So trying to get used to what people are like in Newcastle when you come from Wales is really, really different. I mean, in Wales, people wouldn't really kind of talk to you unless they know you from the local area. Literally, you could go into the next town because they're quite kind of Celtic. So it's kind of like, where are they from? If we don't know who they are, we attack them. Yeah,
you're an outsider kind of thing.
You come to Geordieland, and when I was going through the various universities to see where I wanted to stay for the next 3 years, I went to London, I went to Edinburgh, Liverpool, Aberystwyth, and I came here and I went into the Strawberry next to St. James's Park, and I got hold of a pint of beer, and he says, "Oh, are you a student?" Sort of like, "Oh, no, I'm just having a look at the uni." He says, "You'll enjoy yourself if you come here. It's got the best nightlife, it's got the friendliest atmosphere." And you know what? All the rest of the places that I went to, they wouldn't even talk to you at all, you know. And I like to know that if I'm going to be moving into a place, because I was drinking in the pub that was right next to where I was going to be staying if I chose to stay here. Already there's a friendly regular there that I know for a fact I'll be able to befriend somebody and chat. You wouldn't be alone because I'm 250 miles away from where I was living.
Sure.
And then what happened next was when I eventually moved here, and everybody's friendly with you, but as soon as they're your friends, the table seems that the hourglass of friendliness goes the other way, but not in a nasty way, but they completely take you to pieces. And these are your best pals, but they do it in a nice way. It's sort of like, hey, how are you looking? You put a couple of pounds on. Oh, thanks. I was building up some self-confidence, but I've decided I don't need it anymore. Thanks for that. You know, they take the mickey out of you. You know, it could be anything.
But it's out of love, though. That's the thing. Because I remember somebody said to me, who was it? It was a guy called John, and John D. His name was D-double-E, and he came up and he said, he introduced me to his wife and said, "Oh yes, this is Alan Robson off the radio. He's a bit of a gobshite, but he's all right." And you think, that's fair enough. And you shake your hand, and you think, but that's out of love. It's affectionate, though.
If you were looking at the balance in terms of kind of like keeping you mentally stable versus kind of like destroying your mental kind of like ability to cope with things, it's kind of like one moment they're putting you on a pedestal, and the next minute they're hacking away at the legs. That takes some getting used to when you're not from the area. I love it now.
But if you didn't get that, you wouldn't be accepted.
I've been here longer than I was in Wales, so I don't know whether I'm still not classed as an adopted Geordie. My friend Junior thinks I should be deported because I'm Welsh anyway, but you know, that's
we'll have you. We'll have you, mate. But thank you very much for coming on. It's been a joy. Good luck with the talk show. Give me love to Junior as well, if you will.
I will. All the best. And if you do decide you want to be put on an FM frequency anytime soon, I'll clear the schedule. You can just do what you like. You know what I mean? Yeah.
All right. Nice one, man. Thanks a lot. Bless you. Bye-bye. Now, we got some good people in the local radio stations, and they're doing a lot of the things that if a larger station doesn't do it, they slide into the gap. And I think that's good news for them. Good luck. Getting a lot of messages coming in. We were supposed to stop. Well, the idea was we'll stop at 12. We got on a bit, which is good, because we've got people there. So we've got another couple of calls. We've got about another 30 calls, but we'll take the next 2 and then we're done. And I hope you liked it. I hope you'll spread the word. And if you want some more, maybe we can find some way to make that happen. Don't forget Robson's World and the Grizzly Tales podcast, where you get all your podcasts from. And let's see where this leads. It's a first drive down a brand new road. And I hope you've liked it. Anyway, next we have Richie from Ashington, and Clary is not there. Hello, Richie.
Hello, how you doing?
Well, I was fine until I saw you. You're short off.
Away, man. Hey, you got on about everyone tarting up and putting ties on and shirts. I thought I'm just going to give them the real me.
Yeah, well. Oh, there's Clary's next to you. You see, you're hiding your woman from us. That's what it is. Hello, Claire. There she is. Hello. Well, that's lovely to see the pair of you. I hope you're both well.
We are, and I hope you're good as well, Alan. I'm over the moon to see you do something like this. You know, it actually made us well up tonight when I saw this. So I was like, wow, it's fantastic. It's good, man. But I think my favorite cuddly teddy is Clary.
Oh,
that's sweet.
We've got the love show, as you know, so I've got to keep the slaver going even off there.
No, that's good. I mean, how's it going? It's working well for you?
It's going great.
Yes, we're literally, apart from one other person, the only people that are in the station at the moment.
Right.
So we're still doing our shows live on the radio because we only live a stone throw away. So.
And everybody else is locked down, so I get you. So are they all recording at home and sending stuff in, or how's it working?
Outside broadcast through network.
Right.
So, I mean, it's working. We're keeping it afloat, like so.
Right. Well, that's as good as you can do it in a minute. Yeah, both well. No COVID virus in the house, because you've got one of these. There was an old woman who lived in her shoes. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. Is all the bands okay, or?
Yes.
Well, the kids are fine, but I'm feel like I'm 90 years old.
Oh, come on.
I can't believe that for a second, Clary.
Now, believe it or not, one of my friends actually did have coronavirus, and he's just got over it now when he got it in March.
Jeepers. Right.
So it's like, but he lives in Sheffield and he works for the NHS, and it's just crazy. He had to stay at home, and I felt so horrible for him, because he couldn't breathe properly, and he was telling me it takes your taste away from you and your smell.
There's Mike.
Right.
Hi, William. I'm just gonna say this. Favorite cuddly toy when I was a kid, in serious note, was actually this big teddy I got when I was born. He was like 3 foot tall, and I just kept him for years and years, and then all of a sudden he was just gone, and I was like,
"Is he not in the loft?"
No, I just think he on purpose he got rid of.
Right. That's one of those things when it's awful because parents do this thing where they say, "Oh, he hasn't played with that for a while, so he obviously doesn't want it." So they hide it all in a box and take it to a jumble sale or something without asking you. That's the things. I hate all that kind of stuff.
Oh, but then they'll keep the bomber jacket that I wore when I was born. You
had a bomber jacket when you were born. What kind of family are you from, Richard?
You don't want to know. I mean, the hairstyle and the facial hair just tells you.
It gives you a clue. Now, but you're enjoying the period. Thank you very much for coming on anyway. Lovely to see at least one and a half of you.
Thank you for having me.
There
Love
she
you, man.
is. See you, Clary. Absolute respect. Thanks again, Bob. Love you too. There you go. Live from their bedroom. Yeah, good job. We didn't catch them half an hour earlier. No, there you go. Incidentally, somebody flashed across the screen. My apologies. I didn't catch the name, but if some of the guys could tell me. A lady asked me, Mary Nicholson? Maybe. What's the names of my cuddly toys? This is Giles, my mouse. And he kind of, if you look into his eyes, you'll be hypnotized. And of course, his name is Mycock. Okay, Mike, because he's my cock. You see, he's my cockerel. There you go. And he's actually. Hang on. There you go. Enough. Mycock. He's Turkish. And if you couldn't understand his clucking phraseology, we're going to finish. We're going to finish with one last caller. Ta-da! Chris from Hexham. Let's have a chat with the man. Hello, Chris.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi, how you doing?
Not bad. It's funny, I was just going to ask about when it was Richard next time, but he was on before.
Right, so what can we do for you, mate, in your tune top?
I was thinking if any, Newcastle, the best team. I was thinking if anyone heard about the Vesselers, one of the Vesselers, the real Vesselers died on the weekend. He was found dead today.
Tell me more.
He was washed up in California Beach trying to save his son.
Right, horrific. Awful story. Right.
I don't know what people's favourite horror films at the minute.
One of the ones that I saw I don't know whether you would class it as a horror film. It was that movie called Don't Breathe. Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's a good one.
They try and break into a guy's house, but the guy's tooled up but he's blind and he's listening for. I thought that was quite a cool. You know when somebody's close to your eye with his finger and she's kind of. That was pretty good. What do you recommend then? What do you think's the business at the moment?
It's an old film, but I'd say Paranormal Entity.
Oh, it's a great film. It is an old one, though. Blame me.
Have you seen all of them?
I have, yes. I love my horror films. I've been very much into I Spit on Your Grave 1, 2, and 3 because they've all been. They're on about every 10 minutes now on one of the channels. Quite like them. Some of the modern ones leave me dead. Did you see The Nun?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was good.
Just didn't do it. So if you could recommend any one good horror film that I haven't seen, go for it.
There's not many films. You might have seen them all. I'm just trying to think. You've seen Paranormal Activity?
Yeah. And Paranormal Activity 2, I think I saw as well. I thought they were good films. The one that left me absolutely dead in the water was the Blair Witch Project. Everybody went crazy about that, and I watched it, and it was like watching somebody's messing on. You know, like fails on TV. You know, there's shows that you get on YouTube, and I couldn't cope with that. I watched about 10 minutes, and then that was the end of it.
I'd recommend It film, It 1 and 2, but you've probably seen them.
I have. I like the first It, because it was an old. It was an old kind of movie from back in the day about this clown, and that was quite scary. But I liked the first one.
Yeah.
I wasn't so keen on the second one. I
think they ruined it, the second one, though.
Right.
First one was better.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else in while you're on?
That's it, really. I'm just looking forward to Ghost Hunt, or like Grizzly Trails.
Good, man. Well, we'll keep them going. And as I say, if this works, then we'll take you out somewhere. We'll go live somewhere, and then you can come on and talk to us when we're out in the middle of some clanty dark place, like or some cemetery. The amount of cemeteries I've spent my life in, it's going to be quite comfy when I actually go to one finally. But anyway, lovely talking to you. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers.
Respect. Thanks for coming on. Take care. And again, just a very quick reminder. There you go. Hope Night Owls returns outside the show on YouTube and Facebook one day. Philip, it would be a glorious thing and a sensible thing, in my opinion. But however, robsonsworld.com, if you fancy doing that. It's been great. I really enjoyed it. Hope it happens again soon, says Darren Moldova. Or Darren from Moldova, because he's using their flag, so I presume it's his flag too. Harry Marek, it's been great tonight. Needs to be a regular thing. Thank you. And I want to say thanks to Tony. I want to say thanks to Chris as well, who are the powers behind the throne. Well done, lads. That was a top job.
We love
it. Thanks for Jen for putting up with me, because she's been my unseen producer on the side, saying, don't do that, say this, do that, which has been very useful. And a big thank you, more importantly, to everybody for just watching, listening, spreading the word. And I just want everybody to know, because I know a lot of people have been concerned since we had something like 2.5, 3 million people contacting the show and writing the newspapers and stuff. I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm very, very lucky. And thank you very much for staying loyal, steadfast, and true. Alison Ford, fantastic night. Sarah, loved watching with Fab TV, says Sarah. Thank you for all of that. Bottom line is, I'm very lucky. I've got a Sunday night show. We got other things that we can do, and maybe run with them. And Tracy, thank you very much for your kind words. That's it. Usually we'd go out with a whole batch of music. I don't think we are tonight. Instead, I'm simply going to say a very famous phrase. From me, Alan Robson, good night, God bless you, and I wish you well. See you, everybody. Night-night.